2, 1, 2, 1, 2. T.O.M. Teachers of Ahati. Who am I today? The scribe, been forever, but the name changes with the times. I come from a place where space is home. I go into realms where your face is gone. A change gon' come. As a teen, hypnotized deep in a sleep, party and slumber. 11 life path number, a life of death that's rebirth. Recall realities to re-emerge. Soul purge, I'll lend you frequency like loan words. Before I teach, I'll spit a poem first. Step on stage, set the stage, car walking, set ablaze, divine fire. The body is divine attire, sown from words. Sound frequency, awakening dreams. Don't pinch me every day I wake up, it's a home birth. Start from zero to become the heroes. Cycles of time causes expansion of mind. Potential is exponential. Gain XP, what your power made of. I've had to face self, face to fate, a double fate. What will I make of the present? I'm just trying to pet heaven. Twice great, 2 arms up is none to wave. It's nothing to wave. God separate the waters from the waters. Genesis 1 and 6. See, that source is thousands of years prior to a Bible even existing. It's called the pet word for heaven. Watchers of noon, primordial, pre-ordered, bringing order in order. Its law the scales will represent. A double gift, read present, Ray is present. Ra, amen to the God inside. The crown will glow as consciousness grows. So what assignment are you on? I do my best to do my best. Lead with the left, heart out my chest. By step out of the flesh. On my crown is the Nemez, Corona shining. I do my best to do my best. Lead with the left, heart out my chest. By step out of the flesh. On my crown is the Nemez, Corona shining. Serpent mind winding in alignment. Straight from Orion, the origins. Dig into the root, Kemp originals. The oracle speaking, your aura is gleaming. The sons of God, Amen Ra. Who can't afford a reason to fall below your own means, meaning reaching beyond the firmament ceiling. I see linguistics tricking us deep into sleeping. The way we live inception, I must be dreaming. Doubles, double L, square root, mirrors, reverse the image. My grip was slipping. Almost forgot the point of the mission. Statements point out all the contradictions. Blatant truth lives where my eye is foundation. Yeah, co-founded a nation. Dictionary study spells can be scary. Etymology, this here is completion. Cycle circles, dualism, wisdom. I peddle flowers. 2 eyes are watching to see through the double realm I'm healing. Never out of what's within him. Infinite reasons, just like my brother Arcad. Always remain calm against demons. Death culture, to be alive here, it's a lie here. They crossed us into thinking that death isn't living. The lies are falling through my palms, arm wide, holes in my hand. The Pope's in command, I demand the throne back. Ancient teachings, I'm a throwback. Picture that, see this moment here is cold that. So black, I see through lies. Why they hold that, ocean motions. I'm flowing through noon in the boats of consciousness. My tongue is rolling, planting seeds, sowing. Knee of speaking, untangled quantum DNA, spitting frequencies. I hear Christians scream hallelujah. And this ain't that the name of God is God. I must bring the order back, the scales are tipping. In the court of Allah, moonshine to Houthi is Yah. This here is Patah, bulldozing. The one chosen, focus. When the light hits you, just open like lotus. Melt your mind when in mind time is frozen. Blow minds, my mind is golden. Coat me in gold, I've got a gold coat round me like I'm T.O.M. Like his, when you spell my name, put 3 lines in. Scribe, presenting the law's findings. Who's he? I me, an echo of Tahuti. Yes, I do my best to do my best. Lead with the left, heart out my chest. By step out of the flesh. On my crown is the Nemez, Corona shining. We do our best to do our best. on moving. Keep on moving. Keep on moving. Keep on moving. I had to relearn what a brother is. I had to relearn what a sister is. I had to relearn what a mother is. There is no other him. Watch your mouth, fix your lips. I am learning to compartmentalize what I find with my mentals. I could have been labeled mental voices in my head. If I speak to the wrong one, I'll be diagnosed schizophrenic. Creating pollution you can't escape from. We're Captain Planet. Where's Captain Planet? And it's exactly how they planned it. It's insanity, state in a state of sanity. But I'm the scribe, keep a record on the record. I break records. This, that, medu, nature, echo, living, lively, times 3, Trinity. We are not the same, not even similar. Plant the seed, a man receive excellence, adoration, testament, evaluation, literally. The love is real, yet they be hating. Salutations, I wait to master patience. Acting lackadaisy on your facts, I'm back by conscious beings. I am free, can't lock the wings in. The diction is firm, call me men. A man 3 in 1, erection, protection, firm. Spitting life into who I speak to like sperm. Creation is a whom I earned. The right to fully see it through. The heart as I rise through. Manu, Akut, lost it when I had to find you. I'm through, times 2, dualism, we will align soon. As I meditate in my room, it becomes a space of pure truth aligned with my eyes. Verbiage is time for more than the 2 eyes. I can see the veil underneath that other veil. Focus when I am locked in. I don't need a cell. Tell me you don't see the traps. Tower power over enemies, frozen over hell, reversing spells. Fell from the skies, the body is disguised. If you needed a sign, well this is it. I hope you read between the lines, left, right. After the first step, I write what's left in me. This is destiny, keep on moving, especially if you find blockage. No amount of pushback will stop this. This will get capped in stone, they cannot top this. Pyro, fire, Ba is my attire. Inspire the ones chosen, the ones open, the ones spoken. From times when life was once spoken. Enchantments, Nesu, double tongue in motion. Give, receive, keep moving and move for keeps. Keep it real, keep the master key. I had to master me. Mirror glass shattered in my dreams. I didn't like the image till I realized I am the image of the image. I'm here for keeps, keep your distance. Social gimmicks, our stories told within the hieroglyphics. Mystics, just keep on living, we're gifted. Our stories told within the hieroglyphics. A language living, just keep on living. Keep on moving. Keep on moving. Keep on moving. Keep on moving. I had to relearn what a brother is. I had to relearn what a sister is. I had to relearn what a mother is. There is no other him. Watch your mouth, fix your lips. Yeah, motivate a nation. Stepping out the spaceship, causing a spaceship. Faced with revealing the spells within this matrix from the Masons. But I'm the architect. Best respect, I can architect. Rule your rulership, I hold the heck. Control my thoughts, still move when the game is paused. We speak heck up, this is the best of Medu Necha, bars like Wi-Fi, we're connected. Always on time, frequency and flow through frequency. I know the power I hold in my throat. Creation, destruction, with every single thing I've spoke. Enter, netter, curt, show your worth. Heal from all the hurt, not a singer, best believe I hold a note. Read between the lines, you're not really lost in that. I hope you find exactly what you are looking for. This is more than words, taught myself to heal myself. I come from the dirt, no time for slacking or bad habits. Sad tactics of bringing mad tragic mental processes that lack passion. Spit fire, black dragon, school of hard knocks, send you backpacking. My eyes, when this appears, it's like magic. The fact is, when it's wartime, we go savage. Shield of armor 720, prevent backstabbing all the fiends of good-hearted beings. They don't suit the role, they lack the fashion. So just keep on moving. Keep on moving.
Peace and love. Hotep Maat. Can y'all hear me? Can I be heard? What's up, brother?
Peace, peace, peace. Peace and love, everybody. Welcome to another beautiful Teachings of Maat Study Guide Sunday. Today's topic is the path to success. Before I introduce everybody on the panel, we will begin, as we do every week, with our beautiful affirmation. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Anki Em Maat, An NS, Nintet or Set Em Maat, Min Hapapat Em Maat, Her In Hu Kui, Her Ikut. I live for Maat. I exist within her. I do not speak in the place of Maat. Every day I advance towards Maat. My being is surrounded in darkness. I come forth as conscious light. Hotep, Scribe, how y'all brothers doing? Peace and love. Can I get some background music, Scribe? Hotep.
Are you staying here the whole?
Hotep, good brother. Peace and love. Hope everyone is doing well.
Peace.
Hope everyone is ready for this excellent class that the great brother Atef is going to be presenting. So go ahead, good brother, and let's get us started.
Peace, 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 good brother. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to introduce the beautiful panel. Right now, we have the general, the great Ahati Maat. Ahati Maat was taught under the great Tahuti Amenhotep Ra. He has been a serious student and teacher of Kemetic culture and history for several years. He has written multiple books, including the textbook called Journey of Your Soul series, essays, and articles. Furthermore, he hosts in-person and online classes, weekly podcasts, and periodically creates documentaries. He also has experience in public speaking and academic debating, and he is responsible for the creation of this weekly study guide. Next, we have the mighty scribe Ani Patah Aten Tahuti. Is a writer, poet, spoken word artist, audio producer, engineer, healer, spiritual advisor, consultant, and business creator. He is a master student of the Natiru, a true follower and protector of Ma'at, a scribe of Tahuti and Ma'at. He studies under the master teacher, the Saba Tahuti Amenhotep Ra. For the scribe, quality always outweighs quantity. He enjoys observing reality and incorporating these observations into his writings and creations to assist in awakening dormant DNA and reversing of negative hypnosis. Next, we have the mighty Menkhu Ra. Menkhu specializes in training, educating youth workers, counselors, and educators about arts, culture, and history. He travels the world to experience how people live, and he shares it with everyone he is interested in learning from the research he has witnessed. Menkhu has a master's degree in entertainment and media business and has been working in the music industry and with nonprofit agencies, providing program planning and promoting concerts and community events in the Madison area for over 30 years. During that time, he has facilitated the following innovative after-school programs for the Madison School Community Recreation, including Hip Hop 101, Music Production 101, and MP4 music programs for youth. And I am the mighty Atef Rem Qem Maat. I am the chairman of the organization and the Techetu. I am a student of the master teacher, the great Tahuti Amenhotep Ra. I'm the host of this weekly study guide, Teachings of Maat, a true-hearted follower of truth based on ancestral artifacts and a lover of my people unconditionally, dedicated to learning the Medu Netta and a defender of Maat. Peace and love, everybody. Welcome to a beautiful show. Peace.
Peace, good brothers. If any of you all would like to speak before I have a couple things to show, you can just introduce or acknowledge the people, good brothers.
Yeah, Menkhu, go ahead.
Y'all brothers, hold me down. I'm set up for my presentation. Just give me 2 minutes.
Peace and love, everyone. Welcome to our presentation tonight. It's good to be here. Hope everybody's doing well. I will pass it to Ahati.
Yeah, peace to the chat. Thank you for coming out. in joining us tonight. Make sure when you come into the chat to support our good brother Atef. Make sure you hit that like button. Don't be lazy when you come in. If you can't support the brother financially or some service, at least give us the sacrifice of moving your mouse to the like button and just clicking with your left index finger. It's not too complicated or hard. I'm excited. I believe he's doing something else pertaining to culture and success. So I'm definitely looking forward to tonight's show. Ani?
All right, Hotep Maat, everyone, all the great people who are live with us, and those of you watching in the playback. Peace and love to everyone. Robert Reyes, peace to you, good brother. You see the goddess Carolina, peace to you, says Hotep family. All right, so as the stream goes forward, we definitely want to make sure that we're showing our support for the great brother Atef and what he brings to the teachings of Ma'at. So before this good brother goes in with his presentations, I'll showcase a couple announcements. So firstly, of course, I want to show our social media platform. So you can the link. All these links are also in the chat as well to make it easy for you to find us. All right. So our Twitter, our TikTok, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube here. And if you're not subscribed to the Tahuti Pod class, make sure you are also subscribed there as well. YouTube.com/mystical TV. All right. Next, I want to show our beautiful merch. We provide beautiful fabrics for you all to represent the teachings of Ma'at Tahuti Pod class logo on your chest. And as you all show support for that, we'll introduce more beautiful merch for you all. We have a lot of ideas in the background that we're conjuring up. And as long as you guys want this, we'll bring it to you. All right. So members, of course, get 10% off for your entire membership. So once you become an active or non-active member, you will get 10% off forever. So and there's also a way to get 10% off if you are new here and you have not subscribed to our newsletter. You go to teachingsofmaat.org and scroll all the way down to the bottom. You'll see where it says subscribe. And once you put in your email address, you'll be added to our newsletter list that we send out every single week. All right. And you'll get 10% off when you sign up for that. All right. Next, I want to show.
Scribe, you went out, bro. Your sound went out. Hotep Maat, peace and love to everybody in the chat. Y'all ready for this? Scribe, your sound went out, brother. Hotep, can we hear you? No, Scribe, you muted, brother. Hotep, can y'all hear me? I can hear you, Ahati.
Yes, I hear you, brother. Peace. Yeah, you may have to come in and
yeah, it's completely out.
He'll be back.
Peace and love. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Robert Reyes. I see you, good brother. Shout out to Carolina. Peace and love to Robert Reyes. Says heck of magic. Yeah, definitely. Peace. Ahati, you ready for the path to success, my good brother?
Yeah, I was just telling the people that I'm so excited to hear what you're going to bring forth. I know it's going to be about some culture.
Always. You know, I love it. I love culture. I love it. I love it. Hotep.
Check.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, good brother. Look at the architect.
All right. So yes, I was speaking about the Discord. So yes, definitely go into the links in the bio and join our Discord community. It's steady growing every single week. We hold community meetings there as well, for you all to come there and listen to us speak about what we have going on, and also to bring your questions. So it's wonderful. And I also want to showcase our Teachings of Ma'at creativity advertisement section. This is a wonderful opportunity for everyone out there who has any type of skill or business that you want to showcase. If you're an artist, you do music, you do any type of digital design, you play an instrument, you're an actor, you want to put yourself out there more, you can contact us at teachingsofmaat.org, and we can give you a minute or more, depending on what we work out, but we'll give you the opportunity to present your craft and your skill and your business. If you have a business, this is a wonderful opportunity to put yourself in the forefront, in front of thousands of people, to allow these people to see what you are doing. And of course, your chance and your opportunity to support the Teachings of Ma'at and become a patron. So this is definitely a wonderful opportunity that the good brothers and sisters out there should take advantage of. And all you have to do is just message us at teachingsofmaat.org and ask how you can become, you can be added on to this segment here. All right. And of course, finally, before we go into the great brother Atef's wonderful presentation that he's going to bring forth, support. This is something that we are we are extremely firm on this because it's about reciprocity. You know, that's what Ma'at is about, reciprocity. So if you appreciate this information, if any of this information affects you in a positive way and helps you to see something a little bit different, or how to apply Ma'at to your life, then support the T.O.M here so we can continue to keep bringing these high level presentations to you all. This takes a lot of time and resources. Everything that you see that we have for you, you know, it takes a lot of work. So any type of support is appreciated and keeps the motivation and the inspiration flowing within T.O.M. So Cash App, Teachings of Ma'at, PayPal, Teachings of Ma'at. And we also have a crypto wallet for Ethereum for all of you who have Ethereum in your crypto wallet. So support this good brother Atef and what he's going to bring forth. And with that being said, I am ready for your presentation, great brother Atef. I know it's going to be wonderful. I'm ready to go on this journey. I have my seatbelt on. And, I'm ready to go with you, good brother.
All right. Peace and love. Hotep. So, Scribe, I'm gonna need some participation, good brother. When there's not a video playing, I need that good background music playing while I'm reading. So, peace and love to the chat, everybody. Let's get this screen sharing together. Turn the volume down just a tad bit, the background. Can you turn it down just a tad bit, Scribe? Shout out to somebody new in the chat. We got a good brother, Rodney Sanders. He says, shout out to Atef. Let me screen share. Get my screen together. Share my tab. Am I sharing?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna need some a little bit of participation from you brothers. So this is the path to success, right? The path to success. Hotep Ma'at, everybody. Hope y'all in for a roller coaster ride, because that's what you guys are gonna get. The path to success. Scribe, can you turn the music down just a tad bit, good brother? Just a tad. Actually, you can turn it off real quick because I'm about to play a video. So this is the path to success. And as you can see, it looks like I have some type of celebration there. See the American flag there. Some people throwing, looks like a celebration, some type of graduation maybe. Yeah, some type of graduation. So
how we
I'm gonna play
operate
a video.
other people. Everything that we do in this reality have been pushed upon us or have been programmed in us by people that is, strategic. I wouldn't even say, because it ain't even strategic for real, that are forcing their culture, that is forcing their will upon us. So we're living like another people. We're living in another people culture. We're eating from another people culture. We even make love and have sex according to other people culture. The way we love and we enter a relationship is based off another people culture. How we exchange money and buy things is based off another people culture. Materialism, everything about us as a people is based off another people culture, because they have stripped our culture from us. They have stripped in our God from us, our original language from us, our original land from us. So everything, how we operate is from another people mindset. We are out of our indigenous mind and we're into our oppressor's mindset. If you look out of our indigenous mind and we're into our oppressor's mind. And if you look at how they operate and what they do to each other, they hate themselves. So of course, we're going to naturally start inheriting them characteristics that they beat into our ancestors, and we're going to hate ourselves. It goes back to the self-sabotage that you talk about.
Two things, right? My man French Fanon says the oppressor always takes the behaviors. The oppressed always take the behavior of the oppressor, right? Yeah. I want to talk about the self-love thing. They have that saying, treat yourself, don't cheat yourself. Yeah. But it's usually something that's so detrimental to you, bro. Yeah. Like I really looked at that when I started to love myself, in the sense that what's taking care of myself, right? Going to sleep early. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Instead of like drinking and throwing up. It just some little vibes, but we have to create spaces where people can be taught how to love themselves.
Facts. And the only way we can do that is by creating education systems.
Shout out to that brother for those positive words. I think that brother's name is Yaki Awaken. Shout out to you, brother, for those positive tones. So anyway, how important is it for our children to learn how to read and write? How important is it? Everybody in the chat, I got a few people in the chat. How important is it for our children to learn how to read and write? Scribe, I can get a little bit of background music. How important? I need some crowd participation. Y'all know I love that crowd participation. I'm finna take y'all on a roller coaster ride, guys. So how important is it for our children to learn how to read and write? Put in the chat. Is it important? I will not move on until crucial. Robert Reyes says it's crucial. Shout out to you, Robert Reyes. That's what I'm talking about. That's how I feel. I feel like it's crucial. I feel that it is crucial that our children learn how to read and write. Big Vape, shout out to you, good brother. He says very important. They can't take our knowledge from us. Shout out to Dominic Marino. He says peace. Has anyone ever heard of a policy that pushes children out of school? So if school is important and it's crucial, very important, I see very important. They can't take our knowledge from us. I see crucial. So has anyone ever heard of a policy that actually pushes children out of school? Has anyone ever heard of that? A policy that pushes children out of school. Education is crucial. It's very important. It's essential. It's essential. So has anyone in the chat, has anyone ever heard of a policy? Is there a such thing? Am I making this up? Is there a such thing as a policy, an actual policy or a law or something that pushes children out of school? I remember when I was growing up, I used to hear about truancy and being truant and a truant officer, and my grandmother telling me I had to go to school or the truant officer was going to come and she was going to get in trouble. Suspension, expulsion. Shout out to you, Big Vapes. So tonight, I'm going to be discussing how the U.S. education system funnels students right into the prison system for profit. Has anyone ever heard of this? Has anyone ever heard of the school to prison pipeline? In the chat, suspension expulsion. Has anyone in the chat ever heard of the school to prison pipeline? Is that a such thing? What about you, good brother Ahati? You ever heard of that? Menkhu, is that a such thing? Robert Reyes says yes.
Yes. I work with kids and I work in the schools and community centers. And that's a major problem in the state and the city that I work in. We are disproportionately number one or number two for locking up men of color in America. So yes, I've heard of it, good brother. Thank you for your presentation.
Shout out to you, Menkhu. So Menkhu says he's heard of the school to prison pipeline. I see Robert Reyes says he's heard of it. Carolina, shout out to you, sister. She says no. Robert Reyes says the matrix system is wicked. Okay. My technician, I'm finna play a video.
All right, ready for you.
Next slide. Play a nice little video.
School to prison pipeline. It's shorthand for how schools are funneling students, especially Black students, into the criminal justice system. It started in the 90s when schools responded to fears about crime with zero tolerance policies, which mandated suspensions and expulsions for certain violations. They also cracked down on little things like talking back or uniform violations. The hope was that it would keep bigger problems from bubbling up. But as a result, out-of-school suspensions have doubled since the 1970s, and they
a proactive rather than reactive approach to escalating violence problem facing our nation's school.
Back or uniform violations. The hope was that it would keep bigger problems from bubbling up. But as a result,
proactive rather than reactive approach.
Out-of-school suspensions have doubled since the 1970s, and they keep increasing even though juvenile crime rates have now been dropping for years. Around the same time, the number of police officers stationed full-time inside schools has increased by a third between 1997 and 2007. Ostensibly, they were there to prevent mass school shootings like the one at Columbine, but they end up being a way for schools to basically outsource discipline to the police.
Outsource discipline to the police? What?
Schools with officers have 5 times as many arrests for disorderly conduct as schools without them. Sometimes the results are shocking. But the less visible effect is that schools are feeding the racial disparities in the criminal justice system.
Feeding the criminal
Consider the
justice
fact
system?
that schools are more likely to have an officer on their campus if the student population.
Let's just say feeding? Feeding the school
the criminal
system?
justice system.
Wow. Feeding
Consider
the
the fact
system.
that schools are more likely to have an officer on their campus if the student population is more than 50% Black. You might assume that that's because there's more crime at these schools, but although students at police schools are more likely to be arrested, they're not actually more likely to be charged in court for weapons, drugs, alcohol, or assault, at least according to one study. During the 2010-2011 school year, 1 in 6 public school students in the U.S. were Black, but they accounted for 1 in 3 arrests at school. Same goes for other forms of school discipline. Black students are suspended or expelled 3 times more frequently than white students. It actually begins in preschool. 18% of preschoolers are Black. But if
preschool, Menkhu, it begins in preschool.
Yeah, they're locking up. They're locking up kids. Oh my God, yeah, bro. Yeah, especially I definitely know about elementary school, but I didn't know about preschool.
Wow, preschool. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Preschool.
all preschoolers suspended more than once, 48% are Black.
Wow.
Studies show that differences in behavior can't fully account for these disparities. Black students and white students are sent to the principal's office at similar rates, but Black students are more likely to end up with a serious punishment. One study found that white students are more likely to be suspended for provable offenses like smoking or vandalism. Black students are more likely to be suspended for subjective offenses like talking back or insubordination. Students who are suspended in school are more likely to later drop out or get arrested. So the federal government is asking schools to make suspension and expulsion the absolute last resort.
Oh, well, that's
in
nice
Oakland,
of them.
California, public schools are trying something called restorative justice, where both parties in a conflict talk it out with a counselor instead of relying on punishment. The results are pretty encouraging. In the last 10 years, chronic absenteeism is down and graduation rates are up in the schools that have tried it. Other cities and districts are also trying new policies. They're hoping that if their students end up in the criminal justice system, at least it won't be because the schools pushed them there.
At least it won't be because the school pushed them there. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Shout out to Oakland, California. Well, anyway, the pathway to prison is paved early on in one's life, and a disproportionate number of young people of color are subtly directed along this route. It is unnecessary, unjustified, and unconscionable, but it is a reality. And as we can see right here, it says 40%, you could make it a little bigger. It says 40% of students expelled from U.S. schools each year are Black. 70% of students involved in school arrests are referred to by law enforcement are Black or Latino. Black students are 3.5 times more likely than whites to be suspended. Wow, wow, wow. So this is according to the school to prison pipeline. Wow, wow, wow. All right. So, testing kids into the school to prison pipeline. Testing kids into the school to prison pipeline. We're testing kids into school, into prison. Prior to 2002, standardized testing in schools was used only on a state-to-state basis to assess student academic proficiency. That changed with the enactment of the No Child Left Behind, which passed Congress with bipartisan support and the backing of civil rights activists as well as business interests. No Child Left Behind paved the way for schools to be held accountable for the success or failure of their students by taking federal education funding to the scores of schools' student body on a standardized test in reading. In math and higher performing schools received increased federal dollars, while lower performing schools risk losing funding. So, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wait, hold on. What happened to No Child Left Behind? The No Child Left Behind law, the 2002 update of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, effectively scaled up the federal role in holding schools accountable for student outcomes. Wait, No Child Left Behind was replaced? How many of you were aware that the No Child Left Behind Act was replaced in 2015? Did anybody know that? Menkhu, did you know that, good brother?
I did not know that. What? I did not know
that.
that.
They replaced that law, that law was changed. So in December 2015, Congress passed the Every Student Succeeds Act to replace the No Child Left Behind. Under the No Child Left Behind Act, student achievement in reading and math declined for the first time in 25 years. Only 33% of 8th graders are proficient in math. Just 34% of 8th graders are reading at grade level. Without a new education law, the federal government will continue to dictate what's best for states and schools. The president will continue to impose his education agenda through conditional waivers. Schools will continue to be tied to a flawed federal law, and children will remain trapped in failing schools. Wow. So the difference is the Every Student Succeeds Act reduces federal role in K through 12 education. It includes unprecedented restrictions. It restores local control. It provides the school district with more fundable flexibility. So it gives the local jurisdictions more flexibility with funding. It also promotes the school choice by strengthening the charter and magnet school program. So it empowers parents, supposedly. It reduces the federal role in K through 12 education, and it restores local control. Okay, great, let's see. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Let's see. So let's see what the kids say. Let's see how the actual students feel about that. Hit my video one time, Scribe. Let's see what the students actually say.
It was on a Monday morning in March when I woke up to take my middle school's FSA, or the Florida Standards Assessment, a test that, for most kids, was of utmost importance, given that it determines grade retention and class placement for the rest of the year. But I couldn't have cared less. After all, in just the week before, I had no electricity at home, hadn't eaten that entire day, and my close friend Jamie had just been hospitalized as a result of a shooting caused by gang violence. So with all of these external circumstances clashing in my life, how on earth could I possibly do well on an exam? The answer to that question was clearly evident in my scores, which, as you can probably guess, were failing, resulting in me being placed in all remedial classes. But even then, it didn't matter to me, because I had even bigger problems, from taking care of family members to paying the bills that I had to face at home. However, I wasn't alone in my plight. You see, my same story is true for millions of other African American youth, and in their communities, this is business as usual. Problems like crime, violence, and drugs rage on, while our students suffer the consequences, leading to shocking yet predictable statistics, like the fact that only 16% of African American youth will be proficient in reading by the time they reach high school. And in many instances, by the time we find out this is the case, it is far too late to reverse the damage that has already been done to them by our broken schools. Damages that, if you were to visit my high school, you would see surrounding you at every corner, in the form of students like DJ, who barely maintained a 2.0 average, or my friend Kyle, who had already dropped out, giving up on any hopes of graduation. What's happening here is that these kids realize they don't have any future academically, and have come to the grim understanding that their prospects of getting an education followed by a decent job are so slim, they must look to crime as an alternative to providing for themselves and their families. And it all starts with one thing: literacy. You see, it doesn't take a college degree to sell drugs. All you need is desperation and a desire to make a quick buck, incentivizing these already poor, disadvantaged minority teens to partake in criminal activity, landing them in juvenile court. So how do I know all of this? Because I was almost one of them. And in my experience, one of the worst things about this cycle is how we oftentimes end up blaming kids, the people who we should be trying to help, for problems like these that are perpetuated by our broken schools. attributing the misfortune of students like my friend Jamie to the ghetto music he listened to, the poor parenting he may have received, or just blatant stereotypes, like the notion that black youth are inherently bad. However, I knew that this was simply not the case. Kendrick Lamar, Jamie's favorite artist, wasn't a bad person. He simply used music as a means of expressing the damaged, crime-ridden childhood he had experienced, something many African-American youth like myself can relate to. Jamie's mother, by all means, wanted to give him an education, but just didn't have the resources to do so. And finally, Jamie wasn't a bad kid, something which I'm sure all of his teachers would agree with. However, what was truly bad were the things we had no control over, like the glaring educational inequality that existed in the schools we went to, what little instruction we received, much of which was beyond subpar, and the lack of resources that existed for us to be able to do well, even if we could receive a quality education. For me, this was internet access, something that was required for me to even remotely begin working on most assignments, particularly my English class's final project that consisted of a 20-slide long presentation. But judging by how my family couldn't afford to pay for electricity, let alone a computer, there was no way I was going to turn in an entire PowerPoint by the next day. When I sprinted over to the library to work on it, it was closed. When I raced to the community center, they turned me down almost instantly. And when I went from door to door asking all of my friends and neighbors, not one of them had a computer for me to use. It was at that point that, having exhausted all of my options and breath, I should have just given up, knowing that I had tried my best, but nevertheless feeling defeated. Or at least, that is, until there was this one other idea that I had to try. Refusing to allow my circumstances to deter me, I went to extreme lengths, walking all the way to Best Buy, which was miles away from my house, in the middle of the night, just to fulfill my promise to finish that PowerPoint. And this seemed like a pretty good idea at the time, until it started raining. So, soaked and dripping wet, I arrived, and despite all of the confused stares I received, somehow managed to finish that PowerPoint. And that is the story of one of the very first A's that I had ever gotten. Now, while this small anecdote may be shocking to you, this is sadly something most young people from my neighborhood are all too familiar with. However, when placed in the same circumstances, many of them wouldn't, or even couldn't have gone to this extent for a mere letter grade, because they have even bigger problems to deal with. And contrary to most teachers' belief, they do not have the same 24 hours in a day to do what I did. From having to take their time to care for younger siblings, to working to support their families, this concept that everyone has the same 24 hours is quickly eaten up by the challenges of the real world. And it is obstacles like these, from the absence of support services in schools to the lack of resources like internet access in minority communities, which act as the mechanism by which African American youth are flushed down the school to prison pipeline. And while it is clear we must address all of these other problems as well, what is the one thing we can start doing now to solve them all? Well, judging by how 85% of incarcerated African American youth cannot read, literacy, something that is determined at as early as 3rd grade, is clearly the root cause of the problem. And we can begin to address it by treating it like a leak which we must patch as early as possible if we ever hope to prevent these kids from reaching our juvenile justice system. For the longer we wait and allow it to continue to drip, the further our most at-risk students fall behind and the more prone they are to crime. Intervention of this kind is important because in many cases, once these kids reach the back of that police car, it is that much harder to get them out, with recidivism rates reaching over 50% for first-time offenders. Yet this is where most resources in our juvenile justice system are focused, something that is reflective of how we are only willing to invest in these kids when the problem arises. I say this because I wasn't always the person you see on this stage today, and there was someone who intervened in my own life and helped fix my literary leak before I could have ever reached that point. That person was Miss Martini, my middle school teacher. And when I first met her, I was doing poorly in even the remedial classes I was placed in as a result of my unprecedentedly low test scores. But despite this, she never gave up on me, forcing me to go to my school's weekly tutoring sessions and constantly monitoring my grades via surprise checks that I hated. Despite our love-hate relationship, though, this was the first time I ever felt like a teacher actually cared about me and had understood the circumstances I had been through without immediately labeling me with stereotypes like that I was lazy or had poor time management skills without context, when in reality, there was so much more to the story. And we set a high goal. She didn't want to see me with just one A on a single assignment. She wanted to see me with a 4.0 GPA. When I first heard this, I knew there was absolutely no way this was going to happen. And after going home that day, I went right back to slacking off. This was the case for pretty much the entire week, until one of the most profound experiences I've ever had in my life helped motivate me to want to get there. A few months earlier, I had applied to serve as an advisor to Harvard's Graduate School of Education on a whim, Maybe it was because the name sounded cool, or just since I had nothing better to do. No matter the reason, the day I received that letter of acceptance, something sparked inside of me and made me realize that perhaps I was capable of achieving educational excellence. After all, they had selected me of all people, and that maybe my personal experiences made me an even better candidate to raise awareness for this issue. My time there changed me, and is what made me first think about all of the disparities that exist in our education system now, something that was reflected in my own life as well. So, for my Youth Advisory Board project, my classmates and I worked to found Hear the Youth, an organization that works to provide other students like ourselves the same opportunities I had to have my voice heard in my school system. Now, we have met with Chartwells to discuss hunger in schools. 2 of our teens are the only young people to serve on the City Task Force on Safety and Crime Reduction. And on a more personal note, we have had the opportunity to meet with Dr. Green, the superintendent of all Duval County Public Schools, who, as a result of my story, has pledged to provide internet access for students countywide. Now, back to that pesky GPA. The road to achieving academic excellence wasn't easy. It took many treks to different Best Buys and libraries, countless sleepless nights, and an unimaginable amount of effort. But in the end, it was all worth it, because now, as a 4.0 student who will graduate a year early with both a high school diploma and associate's degree, when just a few years ago I thought college was impossible, I am setting an example for other Black teens to break free from the predetermining chains of illiteracy, along with the subsequent incarceration that ensues it. Thank you.
Shout out to you, good brother. Menkhu, that brother said that he went to his neighbor's house. He said that he went to the library. Then he said he walked to Best Buy in the rain to use the computer. Did you hear that, good brother?
Yes, that's fire. That is an amazing testimony. I know all about this. This is speaking my language.
That is absolute dedication. Shout out to that young man. His name was Brandon. That was a nice video, I thought. So anyway, this image is showing the public education system with no funding and how the prison system is welcoming them into that system. So you can see right here, the schools with no funding welcoming them into the prison industrial complex. So what is the relationship between education and incarceration? High school dropouts are 3.5 times more likely than high school graduates to be arrested in their lifetime. How does the school to prison pipeline affect students' mental health? During the early education, the pipeline begins to cast doubt in the minds of young Black men in the form of hopelessness, worthlessness, and symptoms of depression. Once incarcerated, these mental health conditions will only continue to deteriorate. Wow. So as we can see right here, children of incarcerated fathers suffer from worse physical health. They are 1/4 to 1/3 more likely than children of non-incarcerated fathers to suffer from migraines, asthma, and high cholesterol. Their mental health is also worse than that of children of non-incarcerated fathers. Children of incarcerated fathers are 51% more likely to suffer from anxiety and 43% more likely to suffer from depression and 72% more likely to suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. This is according to the Mass Incarceration and Children's Outcome. So who is profiting off of the school to prison pipeline? Does anyone know who and how the system is profiting off of our children? Does anyone in the chat know how the school to prison pipeline is profiting off of our children? Do anyone know in the chat? I need some participation. Menkhu, do you know?
I know that prisons are built based off 3rd grade reading levels of African American youth. I know when youth or adults go to prison, they have to work for a very low wage, and corporations have their products made by the prisoners, because slavery is not abolished for those who are in prison. I think that's was documented in the documentary 13th, the 13th Amendment. So Lots of people are investing in prisons. It's like this whole web of ISFET and the Matrix.
Tua for that, brother. Thank you. That's right. Teachings of my eyes say modern day slavery funded by the Jews. All of that for the Matrix. Wow. Okay. So prisons are a business, and they profit off of inmates, just like hospitals. Prisons make money when beds are full, just like hospitals. Prisons make money when beds are full. So what is the difference between public and private prisons? What is the difference between public and private prisons? Big Vape says the Tamahu is profiting because they get paid for beds filled by prisons. That's right. That's right, Big Vape. Shout out to you. So what is the difference between public and private prisons? The difference is there are stark differences between public and private prisons. When it comes to overall comparisons, privately run prisons are often less likely to report data on inmate population, staffing, and where the budget was spent. The main difference between the two types of prisons comes down to money. Each for-profit facility or institution houses people who violates the law. They are run by private and third-party companies rather than the state government, who runs traditional public prisons. Private prisons receive their funding from the government contracts, and many of these contracts are based on the total number of inmates and their average length of time served. That is right. Shout out to you, Big Vapes.
Prisons are prisons that are run as
One more video.
corporation that are contracted with the government to house prisoners or illegal immigrants in detention. The practice of using private prisons is fairly widespread but very controversial. Governments have started using private prisons largely as a way to save money and shrink the size of government. Many people believe that private prisons can be more effective than other prisons. Others see allowing a corporation to profit off of people going to jail as extremely immoral. Let's take a look at the pros and cons of private prisons. So the biggest pro to private prisons is that it saves money. This is the argument you will hear from almost anyone who supports private prisons, is that it's a way to save money. However, this remains very controversial. While there are some studies that do suggest private prisons are more cost effective and do lower costs, there are others that disagree, and by and large, the evidence is not there to confirm with any certainty that there are substantial savings from using private prisons. Private prisons will also boast about the economic benefits that they will provide.
Hey, brother, does the volume go higher?
Increases in spending, and while this is true, there's again
Enough for this video. Let me see.
Let me see if I can do it
on the local economy. One of the biggest cons of private prisons is that it suffers in quality, and specifically within the safety of the prisoners and guards working in the prison. Because these are profit-driven companies and they're paid a certain amount per prisoner usually, the less they can spend per prisoner, the more profit they get to take in. So they try and have minimal levels of staffing and a minimal level of cost for the buildings, and they try and keep the cost down on the building structure itself. And all of these cost-cutting measures have, in some cases, contributed to increasing violence and lowering the overall conditions of these prisons. The biggest problem, however, with private prisons is that they have an incentive to create more prisoners. And because of the structure of the United States government, they are often able to influence policy in a number of ways. Various private prison companies have been caught lobbying and using groups like ALEC to push laws that will be favorable to them, in some cases via creating more prisoners. And one of the goals of a prison is to reform people, is to have them come in and learn the error of their ways and then go back out into society and no longer commit crimes. Unfortunately, across all prisons in the United States, we have a very high recidivism rate. But for private prisons, they actually want to have a higher recidivism rate because that means they will have more business in the future. Because if their prisoners frequently return to prison, that means there will be more prisoners for them in the future. Whereas if their prisoners had a high success rate of integrating back into society, that would decrease the number of prisoners. It is extremely dangerous to have for-profit companies that can and do lobby the government and donate to political campaigns that make profits when more people are sent to prison. And as these companies grow, they're only going to push their agenda harder and create stricter laws and longer sentences that put more and more people in prison, allowing them as a company to grow and profit more. And ultimately for me, this is why, regardless of any pros, we cannot allow private prisons to operate in the United States of America.
So how do private prisons make money? How do private prisons make money? Where the cash at? Where the cash at? Private prisons generate revenue by entering into contracts with the government. The payment to the private corporations can be determined by the prison size, a fixed monthly or yearly amount, or most commonly, it is based on the number of inmates that are housed at that prison. Shout out to you, Robert Reyes, who said modern day slavery. So right here, it says, this graph, it says government contracts are a major source of revenue for private prisons. Private prison companies Core Civic and the GEO Group relied on government contracts for an average of 48% of their revenue in 2017 and 2018. Private prisons in the United States. Can y'all hear me? Is my screen sharing?
Yes. Private prisons in the United States is showing.
So as we can see by this slide, we can see the disparities and the differences in the pay between private and public prisons. The disparities are glaring. And I have a excellent cartoon here that illustrates the cycle, the reciprocity. And it says sponsoring lobby groups, get tough on crime, present more, pressure in positions, passing punitive laws, into the courts, sentencing more people to prison for longer, more prisons being built, and then the cycle just repeats itself. And this is the self-fulfilling sentencing cycle. So you have lobby groups, people sponsoring groups and lobbying for get tough on crime, pressuring politicians. Then the politicians pass the punitive laws, go to the court system for being disrespectful to a teacher. Then you get sentencing more people to prison for longer times. And then that money generates more prisons being built. It's a never-ending cycle. And then private prisons in the cycle of expansion and incarceration. Look at the political influence. In just 1 year, the GEO Group spent over $500,000 on political contributions and over $700,000 on lobbying, tax breaks, and revenue. The GEO Group received $63.5 million in real estate and tax breaks, and they had $1.69 billion in revenue. $1.69 billion in revenue in 2014. Mass incarceration rose by 784% between 1990 and 2010. Private prisons currently control 90% of immigrant detention centers. Wow, this is disheartening. Feeding the matrix. That's right, Robert Reyes. We are feeding the matrix. The companies making the most money from prisons in America are the GEO Group and Corrections Corporation of America, which has run more than 170 prisons and detention centers. CCA made revenues of $1.7 billion in 2015, up from $1.65 billion in 2014. The GEO Group made revenue of $1.84 billion, up 9% from the previous year. Private prisons make an estimated profit of $374 million annually, giving them an incentive to cut costs more than public facilities. Private facilities have been shown to hire fewer staff and train them less. This is ridiculous. This is the Matrix, people. 1.65 billion in 2014. Wow. This is the path to success. So, how much does the U.S. pay private prisons? That's no small change. These private prisons are making a lot of money. The private sector became a quick fix to the problem of overcrowding. Today's private prisons make up over 10% of the corrections market, turning over $7.4 billion per year. Is anyone aware that the U.S. pays a different amount per prisoner per state? The state of Mississippi paid $18,408 per inmate, and the state of California paid $131,339 per inmate annually. Wow. Those are big numbers, Menkhu. Wow. The Matrix.
Super
Go ahead,
big
brother.
numbers. Super big numbers. The what they get away with is so disgusting. It's super criminal.
Wow. I agree, man. This is the Matrix, brother. This is the world we living in. It's almost sickening, man. Those of you that have children that are in school-age children, preschool. Wow. So, who are the biggest private prison investors? Who are they? Who are the biggest private prison investors? The biggest private prison investors are Fidelity, BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard are big private prison investors. Despite social justice pledges, are any of you investing in private prisons? I got 15 people in the chat. How many of you have money in Fidelity? You don't have to put in the chat. You don't have to. Fidelity is a pretty big investment. What about BlackRock? Anybody got money in BlackRock or State Street? Every time I walk past the TV when I'm at my job, I hear those big investment companies advertising their commercials. You don't have to be shamed. We're not trying to shame nobody in the chat, so you don't have to put the real answer. So again, are any of you investing in private prisons? Some money and portfolio managers see private prisons as a viable investment choice. I'm pretty sure you've heard. Carolina says, I do. Shout out to you and your honesty, Carolina. Peace and love to you, sister. I got another video.
Imprisoned families? What have I told you? Would you be comfortable profiting from imprisoned families? What have I told you? You already are.
Chances are the money in your bank account, mutual fund, or retirement plan is invested in private prisons that are profiting from family detention and mass incarceration. Private prisons make a profit every time someone gets locked up, but it doesn't have to be this way. That's why we're launching Real Money Moves,
a community of athletes,
actors, artists,
and everyday activists who are committing to take their money out of private prisons and explore opportunities to invest in a better future.
Not donating, investing.
Because charity alone is not enough to change the economy. We can make money and make social change by investing in community banks, solar, mom and pop shops, and worker co-ops.
Find out more at realmoneymoves.org.
Or text money.
So this is an article from People magazine. Has anyone ever read this article or was aware how big Banks are utilizing their funds. Bank of America and Chase invest money in private prisons and profit from family detention. How many of you use these financial institutions? So, are you investing in private prisons? With my music, Scribe? Background music, please. So, like I said, has anyone read this article? And were you aware of how big banks, Chase, Bank of America, etc., are investing money in private prisons and profit from family detention? How many of you use these financial institutions to invest? How many? No matter which way we turn, we still stuck in this matrix, man. No matter what we do. So, according to Investopedia, prisons often utilize the labor of inmates for services like food and laundry, paying them extremely low wages, typically between 86 cents and $3.45 per day. According to a 2017 study, some states don't even pay inmates at all. Prison labor is mandatory, highly unregulated, and workers lack sufficient rights or protections. Those refusing to work can face disciplinary action. Furthermore, the small earnings of inmates usually return to the prison system as payments for basic needs like medical services and hygiene products. This system essentially shifts the cost of incarceration onto the inmates themselves, thereby obscuring the true cost of prison operations from the general public. Menkhu, did you know that, bro?
I did not know that. I did not know that. I'm like steaming right now. I'm so frustrated. Like, that is messed up.
Anybody in the chat? Did anybody in the chat know that you have to pay to be in jail? You have to pay to be incarcerated? That if you are incarcerated, that some way they get the money back from you? Because it says inmates usually return to the prison system as payments. The money that they earned is usually returned back to the prison system. In at least 6 states, Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Texas, most prisoners aren't paid at all for their labor. Inmates in private prisons often work, creating goods that companies can sell. Many legislators are not fond of private prisons because they create incentives that hinder rehabilitation and delay efforts to reform harsh sentencing laws or reduce the prison population. So as you can see, this is a picture of the prison industrial complex and the medial wages that prisoners often make. Now, you know, shout out to the best teacher on the internet, Saba Tahuti Amahotep Ra. So my teacher always teaches us about primary sources. So we're going to go to the people and see what the people have to say. I'm going to go click some prison diaries. Let's see. I may have to stop screen sharing. Give me 1 second, Menkhu. Let me know when my screen is sharing.
Okay, I got you, big bro. While you're doing that, I just put in the chat. Has anybody heard of Angola? Angola is a prison in Louisiana. This prison was built on a plantation. Your screen is sharing, big bro. You want to talk about sickening? That is sickening.
What were you saying, brother?
In Louisiana, I put a link in the chat. In Louisiana, there is a prison that was built on a slave plantation. How messed up is that?
Wow.
We got no fight in us anymore. We're dead. Not me, not us. That's in my eye. But
sickening, bro.
Sickening.
It is sickening. So I'm gonna read a little bit of this from the Marshall Project, right? And this is Prison Money Diaries, and it's what people really make and spend behind bars, right? So I thought it was important to just talk to the people a little bit, just to hear what the people have to say. So this was a website called the Marshall Project, and it says Prison Money Diaries, what people really make and spend behind bars. So it says, we ask people in prison to track their earnings and spending and bartering and side hustles for 30 days. Their accounts reveal a thriving underground and economy behind bars. People in prison get 3 hots in a cot, right? So what do they need money for? A lot, as it turns out. Prisons typically provide a bare minimum when it comes to food, clothes, shoes, hygiene supplies. Some states provide items such as toothpaste, soap, and limited amounts of letter writing supplies only to the indigent or those who have little to no money. Other goods that many would consider necessities like deodorant, shampoo, sneakers, thermal clothes for the winter are often only available to people who can afford them. But earning enough from a prison job is nearly impossible. The average prison wage maxes out at 52 cents per hour, according to a new ACLU analysis, and many people make pennies per hour. That means that basics, like a $3 tube of toothpaste, can take days to work to afford, if you get paid, that is. In at least 6 states, like I said, Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Texas, most prisoners are not paid. To make up for these wages, people in prison often take part in thriving underground economies and side hustles, bartering stamps and commissary items. So I'm going to read a little bit of the stories. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. We got a good brother, Ricardo Farrell. He says his job is a prison observation aide, helping to monitor incarcerated men under suicide watch and also reading and writing tutor. His location is Gus Harrison Correctional Facility in Adrian, Michigan. It says he makes $250 to $350 a month. Okay. And he is a suicide watch aide. Okay. Seems like you I wonder how much he would make in a free world. He says, I was carefully selected to be a POA, which means prisoner observation aide. After applying for it, there was a rigorous screening and training. Prior to the prisoners doing this job, correctional officers had to do it. We're getting paid $3.34 per hour session. So we're saving them money. Also, a prisoner on suicide watch will be more apt to speak with a fellow prisoner than a CO or a mental health professional. As soon as we're at the door, they're revealing what's going on. I know what a mental health professional makes, and it is way more than $3.34 per 4-hour session. Anyway, if I work 2 sessions, that's $6.68 per day. Almost nothing else in the Department of Correction pays like this. Plus, during COVID, they gave us hazard pay. $2 extra per day. Last July, I made $334. The 2 primary things I spent on were my phone credit account and commissary store purchases. The food in the chow hall is terrible and poor quality. It's not fit for a dog. Seriously? Wow. Recently, the commissary prices have been significantly raised. For example, an 8-ounce bag of Maxwell House coffee has increased from $8.45 to $10.01. A jar of mayonnaise also doubled in price from $3 to $6. Okay, so it seems like for just a bag of coffee is $8. All right, $8, $10 now. It went from $8 to $10. All right. Okay, I'm not gonna read this. I'm just touching on a little bit of these brothers' story. We got Lewis Dixon. He's 27. His job is He's an unemployed grass cutter in El Dorado Correctional Facility in El Dorado, Kansas. His monthly income is $0. Let's read a little bit of his story. For years, when I first got locked up, my mother was the only person to take care of me. She was barely able to, but she sent me $20 whenever she could. Then in 2017, she was killed. At one point, I was on the line work crew. I cut the grass for the facility, and I was getting $15 every month. $15 a month to cut grass. Okay. That would take $1 from you. They would take $1 from you. They say that it's rent for us living in the prison. Hold on. So Lewis Dixon, 27, he's a grass cutter. His monthly income is $0. He said, I cut the grass for the facility. I was getting $15 every month. They would take $1 from you. They say that it's rent for living in the prison. So that would go down to $14. Every single thing in here you have to pay for. If you don't have the money, you're going to go without. Soap, deodorant, toothpaste, all your hygiene, sweatpants, sweaters. If you don't buy your own shoes, you've got to be in the rain or the snow with hospital Crocs? Wait, is that what? Wait, I thought you get 3 hots in the cotton, soap, deodorant, basic hygiene. Okay, wait. It says, I got into a fight and they locked me up in the hole. I've been in the hole for more than 2 years now. You lose your job when you're in here. You sit in the room for 24 hours a day. The only time they let you out is to go to a shower. And you don't go outside. If you don't have money to buy your own TV or radio, you're just sitting in a cell. I have nothing. This is what drives people crazy. Wow. Hold your head up, good brother. Hold your head up. Well, I'm not going to read this. If any of you guys want to read this, you can go to themarshallproject.com. I'm going to scroll on down. We got the good brother Fuji. He's a bookie in the Department of Transportation data entry worker. Florida Department of Corrections. Seems like his monthly income is $24 from his prison job, $173 from worth of commissary items from his side hustle as a sports bookie, and $100 from his parents to cover his phone calls. Okay. All right. Oh, here we go. A check stub. Here we go. A pay stub from Fuji's job with the Florida Department of Transportation. He made 20 cents per hour for a total of $8.45 for more than 40 hours of data entry. Wow. That sounds like modern day slavery to me. Looks like his bookie ticket, a ticket from his black market gambling business. Okay. I think I'll read one more and then I'll go. Here we go. Oh, Valerie Stanton. Okay, Valerie Stanton. I'm gonna read one more and I'm gonna go. Valerie Stanton. She's 47. Her job is she's a stylist and party planner. Her location is the Julia Tutwiler Prison for Women in Wetumpka, Alabama. Her monthly income officially is $0. Unofficially, she says she makes $50 to $60 worth of commissary items and food. So her story is, she says, I am the lead stylist, trainer, inventory support specialist in our prison salon, which is called Bad and Bougie. Okay, I've heard that on the radio. Although I do not charge people for appointments, several of my regulars tend to bless me with commissary items as a tip in appreciation for not being put on the 6 to 8 week waiting list. I try to show my appreciation by sliding them into the salon when I can. I sometimes do hair on the weekend in the dorm for special occasions and visits, in which I charge $3 to $6 worth of commissary items, depending on the style of cut. Doing hair is also how I pay for my laundry and the work to be done twice a week. I am very creative and I make unique gifts, bags, and greetings, as well as cards, banners, and photo albums. Okay, so she sounds like she's very creative. Okay, I'm not gonna read too much, but you guys get the point. You got to pay to be in prison. It's not free. What is this? David Delina, 45. He's a GED tutor and Bible copier, and his monthly income is $5. What is this? He's in California Institution for Men, Chino. Oh, he's in Chino. Okay, I've heard that before. He makes $5 and he is a Bible copier. Okay. Every inmate is supposed to have a certain amount of state-issued clothing, and they are supposed to keep their clothing clean and decent. But the laundry system does not work here. Men who work in the laundry system sell laundry clothes, and I cannot get my full state issue. If a person has a job in the kitchen, they will sell the food, but this creates a problem for other inmates. We do not always get our full state issue. Our menu is enough to keep us alive, I suppose, but never enough to supply or satisfy the appetite of a grown man. How then do the incarcerated manage to provide for their need to eat and to be healthy and to have energy all day? Wow, wow, wow. I don't want to complain about prison. I have been in prison for 10 years and I have learned to be grateful for what I have. I don't deserve it. I thank God for every spoon of food I have and every container of water and every night of sleep. These things are so good to me. Shout out to you, good brother. Hold your head up. So it says he is, according to the guidelines, he's a Bible copier, guys. By the way, this is his job in jail. He's a Bible copier. Side note, according to its guidelines, the P1 project pays prisoners to copy out the Bible by hand. It's one way David can earn money without breaking any rules. Okay, cool. So you can earn money by copying the Bible by hand. So it says, welcome to the P1 project, which stands for Psalms chapter 1, where the blessed man is described as the one who meditates on the word of God day and night. Hebrews 4:12 also says that the word of God is alive and active, so that they may be able to change the hearts of all human beings. We pay $1 for each chapter you write and send to us. We add $40 as a starting bonus. The first $20 of the starting bonus will be paid when you turn in the book of Matthew completed. The second $20 will be paid when you finish 4 gospel books: Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, and Romans. Wow, Menkhu, did you know that, good brother? Shout out. Shout out. Let me stop sharing my screen. Go ahead, brother.
I did not know that. You blowing my mind right now. You doing your thing, bro. Peace to you. Tour for the light.
Nini good brother. As we can see, it's not free. It's not free as they make it out to be. Somebody's profiting. Wait, what is this? Maxwell House coffee. Is that coffee again? $4.88. Menkhu, how much that brother say the coffee cost him in jail? What did he say? $10 for an 8-ounce jar? What was it? It was, huh?
I don't remember, but that's crazy.
It was $10. It was $10. That brother said it cost him $10 to buy this $4 8-ounce jug of coffee. In prison, it cost him $10, but on the street, it's $4. Shout out to them. Hold your head, good brothers. Hold your head up. This was the stories. I'm gonna skip through that. I went straight to the website, so I'm just gonna keep it pushing. Get through this. Get through my presentation. So right here it says, my next chart, it says, this is a chart of people of color in public versus private prisons by state. Research has shown that private prisons will usually choose less violent offenders because serious offenders require an increase in the amount of security. Thus, public prisons hold more violent offenders and private prisons hold more non-violent offenders. In fact, the majority of inmates in private prisons have committed non-violent drug offenses. While private prisons may be cheaper, they are also known to be worse for inmate rights. More people of color are in private prisons. So y'all get that? So more people are in private prisons for non-violent offenses, but it's a never-ending cycle versus the more violent offenders are in the public prisons. You see the game they're playing here? You see the game that they're playing here, guys. So, like I said, the non-violent people of color, melanated people, are in the private prisons that generate the billions and billions and billions of dollars that they're feeding off of us. They are feeding off of us, and it is a shame. It is an absolute shame. So, moving right along.
Asked August,
President up, right there.
Asked August.
Next one.
President
You ready? Next slide.
Asked August, President Obama's Justice Department decided all BOP contracts with private companies would be phased out.
Wow. What was that? Say that again.
Asked August, President Obama's Justice Department decided all BOP contracts with private companies would be phased out.
Wow. So the U.S. Department of Justice announced that it will end private prisons. A decision was phased out. It phased out the use of 14 contracts prisoners after investigative reports found increased violence in facilities, fewer resources, and ineffective costs. The 14 private prisons currently contracted by the federal government almost exclusively incarcerate low-risk inmates who were convicted of immigration offenses. The prisons house around 22,000 people at an annual cost of $600 million. CCA is the largest private prison operator and a market cap of 3.2 billion. Within an hour of the news, the government's decisions on Thursday, the shares had fallen in value by 52%, dropping from $27.06 per share to $13. Shares of the GEO Group, the second largest private prison firm, also fell by more than 45% during that time, with its share dropping to $17.30 from $32.32. Nearly $700 million was shaved off of the GEO Group's earlier $2 billion market cap valuation. August 2016, Obama signed this bill. See the game, guys? Do you see the game that they are playing? It is a political game, and they are feeding off of our children.
Want safe neighborhoods where the streets belong to families and communities.
This year, the Trump administration reversed the decision to phase out the Bureau of Prisons' private contracts. Stock prices for CoreCivic and the GEO Group, which had plummeted after the Obama directive, have soared since Election Day.
For the private prison industry, the Trump administration is an enormous gift.
So Trump reversed Obama's prison contracts in February 2017, just 4 months later. Wow. Money talks. Remember this date, February 2017. It is a game. It is an absolute game that these people are playing with us. It's a political game. I think I skipped the slide.
I know that you want.
Today, President Biden is continuing his commitment to embedding equity at the center of his agenda by signing an additional package of executive actions. The President will sign a memorandum directing the Department of Housing and Urban Development to mitigate racial bias in housing and affirmatively advance our nation's fair housing laws. He will also sign an executive order directing the Department of Justice not to renew any contracts with private prisons. Private prisons profiteer off of federal prisoners and are proven to be, or found to be by the Department of Justice Inspector General, to be less safe for correctional officers and for prisoners. President Biden is committed to reducing mass incarceration while making our communities safer. That starts with ending the federal government's reliance on private prisons. The president will also sign an executive order reinvigorating the commitment of all federal agencies to engage in regular, robust, and meaningful consultation with tribal governments. And the president will sign a memorandum directing all federal agencies to take steps to combat xenophobia and acts of violence against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders who have been targeted by political leaders in our nation's response to COVID-19.
Wow, wow, wow. Shout out to you. So it seems like they're playing tennis, Menkhu. It seems like it's a bunch of back and forth going on here, according to these policies. Yeah.
It's a circus. It's a circus.
Absolutely. So it says Biden signed the executive order to halt any new prison contracts in January 2021, almost 4 years after Trump's reversed Obama's executive order. This is just going back and forth. Biden only halted any new contracts. Obama's order was to phase out 14 prison contracts. This is a game. This is a game. This is a game. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Wow, wow, wow. Moving right along. So, this chart shows the USA incarceration rate versus other countries. So, despite making up only close to 5% of the global population, the U.S. has more than 20% of the world's prison population. Since 1970, the U.S. population has increased by more than 500%. The U.S. has approximately 2 million people in jail and in prison today, far outpacing population growth and crime. Wow, wow, wow. As of March 2023, the U.S. doesn't have one criminal justice system. Instead, we have thousands of federal, state, local, and tribal systems. Together, these systems hold almost 2 million people in 1,566 state prisons, 98 federal prisons, 3,116 local jails, 1,323 juvenile correctional facilities, 181 immigration detention facilities, and 80 Indian County jails, as well as in military prisons, civil commitment centers, state psychiatric hospitals, and prisons in the U.S. territories. You see this graph, bro? This is absolutely ridiculous.
Yes,
are we helping the hurting? Go ahead.
I see the graph. That's an amazing graph. We definitely heard.
So the number of prisoners under federal state jurisdiction in the United States in 2021 by state, Texas, California, and Florida have the most incarcerated prisoners, far surpassing other states. So Texas, California, and Florida have the most people incarcerated. So, which state has the most prisoners held in private facilities? Shout out to everybody in the chat. Which state has the most prisoners held in private facilities? Great information. Shout out to you, Jason. Shout out to you, my brother. Shout out to you, Jason Kirkland. So, what state has the most private prisoners held in private facilities? Shout out to everybody in the chat. Menkhu says Texas or California. Texas or California. Shout out to you, Menkhu around Meri Maat. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Like, subscribe, and comment. We're moving right along. We have a few more slides. I got a few more to get through. So Menkhu says Texas or Cali. So which state has the most prisoners held in private facilities? Right? Florida. As of 2021, the great state of Florida had the highest number of prisoners held in private prisons, with a total of 11,712 total prisoners, followed by Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, and Arizona, according to the Googles. Shout out to Florida. Shout out to shout out to South Beach Memorial. Shout out to what they got going on down there. We are moving along, man. I appreciate everybody's participation in the chat as we move along. So, my next slide is it showing the number of prisoners held in private prisons in the United States in 2021 by state. My next slide is right here. Scribe, I got 3 videos.
What would you do if your child was placed in handcuffs for crying at school? Research shows this was a reality for a 7-year-old.
Here we go.
What would you do if your child was placed in handcuffs for crying at school? Well, this was a reality for a 7-year-old black boy in Missouri, and it isn't rare for black and brown kids across the country. Whether it's getting arrested for talking back or doodling on a desk, in-school policing is harming students by taking them out of school and helping funnel them into prisons. It's called the school to prison pipeline. We're talking about a structure of codes and punishments that criminalizes kids as early as preschool and increases their chances of ending up in the criminal justice system. 99% of New York City school children who were handcuffed in 2016 were Black or Latinx. This happens when school resource officers are called into classrooms to discipline students, sometimes for something as small as violating a dress code or grabbing candy from a teacher's desk. If the offense doesn't lead to an arrest, Black and brown students are still subject to harsher punishments than white students. Black students are 4 times more likely to be suspended than their white peers. Sometimes students are kicked out of school for basically just being Black. Like in cases across the country where Black girls were suspended for rocking braids or an afro.
Black girls were suspended for rocking braids or an afro. Is that what it said, Menkhu?
Yes, we are in a cultural war.
Black girls were suspended for rocking braids.
Clients there are talking about a groundbreaking new law in New York City, banning discrimination based on natural hairstyles like cornrows, braids, afros, and other styles most frequently worn by Black people.
Shocking that in 2019, we should need to have a law that protects me from being discriminated against for wearing my hair the way it grows out of my head.
It's a nationwide issue. In Florida last year, a 6-year-old boy was sent home from school for wearing dreadlocks, his father pleading with staff.
The hair is at their shoulders. What's the difference?
In New Jersey, outrage after a high school wrestler was told to cut his dreadlocks.
Menkhu, you see that?
The match.
Y'all see that right there? Hold on, run this. Y'all gotta see this. Run this back right here.
Within a year. This
and in
is all
Westchester,
part
New
of an
York,
endless cycle.
Destiny Tompkins quit her retail job.
Bro, you seen that? Look at this.
After her boss criticized her
Once
braid.
kids touch the juvenile justice system,
He told me that my hair looked very unkempt and it was too urban for their image, and that if I didn't take it out, then I wouldn't be scheduled for shifts.
In a statement to NBC News, Destiny's employer, The Gap, said the manager was fired and they have zero tolerance for discrimination. Meanwhile, the ACLU says it's seeing an increase in complaints from victims across the country.
It's only Black people who are punished when they choose to wear their hair in their natural texture.
Back at the salon,
our hair has nothing to do with our job performance.
Some relief that the nation's largest city is now providing protection for how people wear their hair. Rahima Ellis, NBC News, New York.
where do students go after they've been kicked out of school? Research shows they're 3 times more likely to end up in the juvenile justice system within a year. This is all part of an endless cycle. Once kids touch the juvenile justice system, they're 67% more likely to end up in jail again before they're 25. So, what lessons are schools and police really teaching our kids here? How can kids excel in school if they're always being kicked?
Menkhu, you seen the lady cutting the students' hair in the gym?
Yeah, I'm so mad about that. I wish he would have just walked out. That
At
weird.
Harlem Natural Hair Salon, clients there are talking about a groundbreaking new law in New York City, banning discrimination based on natural hairstyles like cornrows, braids, afros, and other styles most frequently worn by Black people.
Shocking that in 2019, we should need to have a law that protects me from being discriminated against for wearing my hair the way it grows out of my head.
It's a nationwide issue. In Florida last year, a 6-year-old boy was sent home from school for wearing dreadlocks, his father pleading with staff.
The hair is at their shoulders. What's the difference?
In New Jersey, outrage after a high school wrestler was told to cut his dreadlocks.
Is that the coach? Is she a barber? What is she? Is she just cutting his hair? Don't you have to have a license to cut hair? Don't you have to have some type of license or certification to cut hair in public, Menkhu? You gotta go to barber school or something?
Yes, you do.
She look like the coach. What is she? This is during the match.
Or forfeit the match.
Is she cutting
and
his
in
hair?
Westchester, New York,
It's
Destiny
disgusting,
Tompkins
guys.
quit her retail job
Absolutely
after her boss
disgusting.
criticized her braids.
He told me that my hair looked very unkempt and it was too urban for their image, and that if I didn't take it out, then I wouldn't be scheduled for shifts.
In a statement to NBC News, Destiny's employer, The Gap, said the manager was fired and they have zero tolerance for discrimination. Meanwhile, the ACLU says it's seeing an increase in complaints from victims across the country.
It's only Black people who are punished when they choose to wear their hair in their natural texture.
Back at the salon,
Our hair has nothing to do with our job performance.
some relief that the nation's largest city is now providing protection for how people wear their hair. Rahima Ellis, NBC News, New York.
Very high rate of incarceration historically, comparatively. And the other thing is the rate of incarceration is so high, so socially concentrated, that we're no longer incarcerating the individual, but we're incarcerating whole social groups. The rate of incarceration now is about 5 times higher than it was historically. Historically, it was 100 per 100,000. Now it's about 500 per 100,000. If we look at prison, if we add jail to that, it's about 700 per 100,000. Nowhere in the world incarcerates as much as we do. We've seen extremely high rates of exposure to the criminal justice system for African American men with very low levels of schooling. So if we think about Black men who were born in the late 1970s and who are growing up through the American prison boom of the 1980s and the 1990s, the chances that they're going to serve time in state or federal prison if they dropped out of high school is about 70%. So going to prison for that group of Black men with very low levels of schooling, that's become a normal life event. That's really only happened in the last 10 years. We're at this point now where there's about 1.2 million African American children with a parent who's incarcerated. That's about 1 in 9. The research shows the kids who experience parental incarceration have diminished school achievement, they have behavioral problems, depressive symptoms, acting out. And there's also evidence that these kinds of negative effects associated with parental incarceration are concentrated more among boys than among girls. And there's a very real risk here that incarceration becomes an inherited trait. The underlying issue is we've chosen prison as a way to respond to that problem of crime. And there are a whole variety of ways that we could have chosen to respond to that problem of crime. We've chosen the response of the deprivation of liberty. And we've chosen the response of the deprivation of liberty for a historically aggrieved group.
I'm gonna end my presentation with that, guys. What is this? I'm gonna end. Wait, what is this? Former judges who sent kids to jail for kickbacks must pay more than $200 million. What is this? 2 former Pennsylvania judges who orchestrated the scheme to have ordered to pay hundreds of people they victimized in one of the worst judicial scandals in U.S. history. NPR News, August 18, 2022. What is this? Menkhu, you ever heard of this? What is this? Some former judges. You heard of this, brother?
I have not heard of this, brother.
Hold me down. I gotta stop screen sharing. 1 second. 1 second. Present screen share.
I heard the judges make deals with lawyers when they're playing golf. They're making deals based on people's freedom and doing each other favors or taking bribes and money.
Wow. So right here it says, to end my presentation, to sum it all up and to tie it all together, we've heard Donald Trump speak, we heard Obama. It says, former judges who sent kids to jail for kickbacks must pay more than $200 million. Two former Pennsylvania judges who orchestrated a scheme to send children to for-profit jails in exchange for kickbacks were ordered to pay more than $200 million to hundreds of people they victimized in one of the worst judicial scandals in U.S. history. The U.S. District Judge Christopher Connor awarded $106 million in compensatory damages and $100 million in punitive damages to nearly 300 people in a long-running civil suit against the judges. Writing, the plaintiffs are the tragic human casualties of a scandal of epic proportions. You hear how they're describing our children? The tragic human casualties of a scandal of epic proportions. And what came to be known as the Kids for Cash scandal, Mark Ciavarella and another judge, Michael Conahan, shut down a county-run juvenile detention center and accepted $2.8 million in illegal payments from the builder and co-owner of two for-profit lockups. Ciavarella, who presided over juvenile court, pushed a zero tolerance policy that guaranteed large numbers of kids will be sent to PA Child Care and its sister facility, Western PA Child Care. Caravella ordered children as young as 8 to detention, many of them first-time offenders deemed delinquent for petty theft, jaywalk, and truancy, smoking on school grounds, and other minor infractions. The judge often ordered youths who he had found to be delinquent to be immediately shackled, handcuffed, and taken away without giving them a chance to put up a defense or even say goodbye. The judge often ordered youths he had found delinquent to be immediately shackled and handcuffed and taken away without giving them a chance to put up a defense or even say goodbye. Ciavarella and Cohanahan abandoned their oaths and breached the public trust. Connor wrote Tuesday in his explanation of judgment, their cruel and despicable actions victimized a vulnerable population of young people, many of whom were suffering from emotional issues and mental health concerns. Remember that, guys? Mental health plays a big role. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court threw out some 4,000 juvenile convictions involving more than 2,300 kids after the scheme was uncovered. It's unlikely, listen to this, Menkhu, it is unlikely that the now adult victims will ever see a fraction of the eye-popping damages award. But a lawyer for the plaintiffs said it's a recognition of the enormity of the disgraced judge's crimes. So they're not even going to get the money. So it is unlikely that the now adult victims will even see a fraction of the eye-popping damages award. It's a huge victory, Marsha Levesque said, co-founder and chief counsel of the Philadelphia-based Juvenile Law Center and a lawyer for the plaintiffs, said Wednesday, to have an order from a federal court that recognizes the gravity of what the judges did to these children in the midst of some of the most crucial years of their childhood and development matters enormously, with whether or not the money gets paid. Another plaintiff's attorney, So West, said he would begin the probe of the judge's assets, but did not think that they had any money to pay a judgment. Ciavarella, 72, is serving a 28-year prison sentence in Kentucky. His projected release date is 2035. Cohanahan, 70, was sentenced to more than 17 years in prison, but was released to home confinement in 2020, with 6 years left of his sentence because of the coronavirus pandemic. Connor ruled after the hearing, often emotional testimony last year from 282 people who appeared, and Luzerne County juvenile court system between 2003 and 2008, 79 of whom were under the age of 13 when Cia Varela sent them to juvenile detention, and 32 parents. So 79 kids under the age of 13. How sad. They recounted their harsh and arbitrary nature, his disdain for due process, his extraordinarily abruptness, and his cavalier and boorish behavior in the courtroom, Connor wrote. One unnamed child victim testified that Cia Varela had ruined his life and just didn't let me get to my future. This is what the child said, according to Connor's ruling. Said another plaintiff, I feel I was just sold out for no reason, like everybody just stood in line to be sold. Another victim described how he shook uncontrollably during a routine traffic stop, a consequence of the traumatizing impact of his childhood detention, and had to show his mental health records in court to explain why his behavior was so erratic. Several of the childhood victims were a part of the lawsuit when it began in 2009 and have since died from overdoses or suicide, Connor said. To calculate the compensatory damages, the judge decided each plaintiff was entitled to a base rate of $1,000 for each day of wrongful detention and adjusted that amount based on the circumstances for each case. Substantial punitive damages were warranted because the disgraced judges inflicted unspeakable physical and emotional trauma on children and adolescents, Connor wrote. The damages award only cover plaintiffs who chose to participate in the process. Other major figures in the case settled years ago, including the builder and the owner of the private lockups and their companies, in payouts totaling about a total of $25 million. So as we can see, it's a game, guys, and they are feeding off of our children. So with that, guys, I'm going to end my presentation. But before I go, I just have one question. I have one question for everybody in the chat. Menkhu, everybody on the panel. One question for everybody before I end. One question. What is the fastest growing segment of the U.S. prison population? Type in the chat real quick. What is the fastest growing segment of the U.S. prison population? Menkhu, what you say, good brother?
I put it in the chat. I think the number of sisters that get incarcerated will be the fastest growing segment. Is that what you meant? Like who's?
Yeah, yes. I said, what is the fastest growing segment of the U.S. prison population right now?
I think women of color or melanated women being incarcerated.
What you say in the chat? Anybody in the chat? What is the fastest growing segment of the U.S. prison population? Load up before I end my presentation. Roberto Reyes says school. School is the Roberto Reyes says school is the fastest growing segment of the prison population. Yes, good brother. That is exactly it. School. Jody says, wow. Roberto Reyes says witchcraft. So what is the fastest growing segment in the prison population? It is. That's right, Menkhu. That is absolutely correct. That is correct. The fastest growing segment, according to the U.S. prison population, is women. Women have become the fastest growing segment of incarcerated population. Although men's jails population actually fell 9% from 2008 For 2018, women's jail population grew 15%. Women's incarceration rates are also climbing at a double rate of men in state prisons across the county. So they are preying on our children, and now they are targeting our young sisters. So you guys know how I end with that good metal netter. So I hope you guys appreciate my presentation. And from page 266 of the Wallace Budge Dictionary, Ma'at means to examine, to inspect, to perceive, to look at. Can't do my presentations without no metal netter, man. Gotta have some etymology or a little bit of metal netter.
Doc, a Jew told me, he says, yo, you know, the black man will never win. I said, in what? The struggle, the battle. He said, you can't win. I said, why? He said, you can't win for two basic reasons. He said, number one, you don't like yourself. He said, number one, your woman is against you, and number two, your children are educated by your enemy. So how you gonna win?
Your children can't like you. The values are your enemy values. He's right. You see, the Jew.
Doc,
your enemy's values. Your values are your enemy's values. You can't win, that good brother said. He said you can't win.
He's right. You see, the Jew.
Your woman is against you, and number two, your children are educated by your enemy. So how you gonna win?
Your children can't like you. The values are your enemy values. He's right.
Your values are your enemy's values. Yeah, I know how I end my things.
You are responsible for telling it and sharing it with your people. My mantra is very simple. I seek the truth. I speak the truth. I stand on the truth, and I stay with the truth. The truth does not need any defense.
Well, tap my eye. Peace and love. Thank you for my presentation. Menkhu. Hotep, good brothers. Peace and love to the chat. Let me stop screen sharing.
Hotep, good brother.
Hotep. Can y'all see me? There we go. Am I live? There we go. There we go. There we go. Peace and love. What y'all think, brothers? What did y'all think?
That was phenomenal. Good, brother. That was excellent. You packed it full with a lot of information that it seems that many of us may have not known about. For example, I know a lot of people thought that when you go to jail that you're not paying for it. I know a lot of people probably thought that, which once you get there, you realize it's not free to be here. And you learn real quick. Yeah, that was very powerful to showcase and showcasing how, of course, the United States holds the highest prison population and more than China. Yet China has more than 1 billion people than we do, but we hold more people in prisons. And it really goes to show, the foundation of which the United States runs on, and showcasing the banks and all these different large scale businesses, and you can invest in these different companies that are real estate investment trust groups. You can invest in this, and and this pays for the private prisons. It's absolutely blasphemous. Most people really don't know this and don't understand this, and even that the fact that a lot of the prisons are privately owned, so two out to you for showcasing that and bringing that forth, because that's very necessary information, especially for our youth, for our young brothers and sisters, as we see women becoming the fastest growing segment to be incarcerated. So it's very important for our brothers and sisters to know this information when going out and dealing and doing things that will land you here. And we have to tread very softly. We have to tread carefully in how we move, because it, as you showcased at every single angle, it's set up for us to go into these systems. And once you're in there, it's very difficult to get out. They don't. It's so deep. So out to you, good brother, for showcasing that and how culture and all in society looks at our hair, the woolliness of it, and those who study Ma'at and study the Meta Netter knows why that is. They know why they want to cut our hair, because our hair is associated with light. It's the word Shin, which means eternity, eternal life. It's the word Shesh, that means to give out light. It's the word Shut, which means to rise up. So our hair is connected to very, very extremely light tones. And the people who came into, the original people who came into this contact information, the Tamahus, understood and seen this. So they started to place very deep psychological spells within our subconscious to, do everything they can to keep us from connecting to who we originally are and to utilize the power and the magic that reside within us. So shout out to you, good brother, for showcasing all the information that you did and bringing forth this powerful presentation. So Hotep Maat Tua.
Many good brother.
Go ahead, Menkhu.
To brother, for your amazing presentation. On another level, it's not even a higher level of consciousness. When we think about our children being in these schools where they can't learn about themselves or be themselves, there's no spiritual, cultural edification for our children. That makes it a prison in itself. The police are in the school. There's all kind of ways that they punish our children. They kill their spirit. So it's not even a school to prison pipeline. It's a prison to prison pipeline. So I love the visuals, the videos, how you everything that you were saying, how you were teaching us information that we didn't have. I say this all the time, we're in a cultural war, we're in a spiritual war, and them killing our children is one of the things that I couldn't allow in my lifetime. So that's why it's been almost 30 years that I've been in the schools, been in the community centers, advocating for our youth to learn culture and creating my own businesses and my own nonprofits so I could give them what I know that the school districts can't give them. But here's the thing, it's no one's responsibility to raise our children but us. It's our responsibility. So I took on that responsibility, and we all have to step up and take care of our children, and creating nonprofits, creating schools, doing the work that we're doing the work that Saba is doing, so our kids can get the proper education, the proper love that they need. And the Panthers are doing the best that they could to help our children with breakfast programs and education, and we see what they did to the Panthers. So peace, brother. Thank you so much for your energy, your light, and your love, and your teaching.
Many brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, that was a great job, Atef. I see your video skills are getting better. Your presentation is getting more precise. And you make it really easy for us to learn on these Sunday shows. Your presentation is depressing to me, man, because it felt like, like a veteran coming back from Vietnam. He doesn't want to talk about the war. It's like, damn, man. They're kicking our ass big time. And I remember those two judges. I lived in the county at the time when they were when they first got arrested. So I know that story well. I know BlackRock and Vanguard. I can't go off on that too much because we'll get another copyright strike. That's how I want to talk, because I know exactly who's running this whole scheme and using our magic out of Kemet right now as we speak. They live about a couple miles east of me right now in their big mansions and their long noses. But it's gonna, like the older brother said at the end, it's gonna take education for us, and that's what we're teaching here. That's what you're teaching, Atef. It's gonna take the educational part at first to bring us back around to the greatness that we really are. We didn't need prisons or jails. We could usually talk things out, and if we couldn't, we couldn't. But I've been in those situations a lot. I remember the private prisons, and it's just totally disgusting to me. And then I didn't know the stat at the end with the sisters, and now, man, this is how these people think. Why are we taking all the men when we should be taking the women? Because they're producing more men. So let's just get all the women into the prisons and jails now, and then that will eventually eliminate the men anyways. And this is how these people think. They're totally evil, and they're just gonna keep doing it till the end game, unfortunately, if we don't wake up here on a massive level and do something about it. And at a small level, like Ani was saying, you got to think rationally and be safe, of course. But I always tell people in the streets when I'm out there talking to them about stuff that Atef taught, I always say, imagine if there was 1 million of me's multiplied. The war would already be on. So that's what it's going to take. It's never going to stop, because just imagine I'm the bully on the street and I'm taking all your lunch food and I'm taking everything out of your house and I'm just taking. Nobody's stopping me, man. I don't have an initiative to want to stop or quit because I'm not being challenged. And that's how, I was just thinking this the other day, that's how the T.O.M who runs the world here. There's nobody on the planet right now that can challenge them, at least physically. There's nobody on the world that can challenge them. And I would also add in, I'm not too ashamed to say this, I would add in even mentally, because a T.O.M who will band together no matter if he hates his brother just to destroy us. And Atef for showing that tonight. And to be honest, we don't have to support it. Those of you that are watching, you don't have to support it. If you have children, you can show them our teachings, our weekly teachings. You could direct them to Saba's podcast on Fridays at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And you could begin to talk to your children, because they are very intelligent too. They might not know as much as us, but they are very intelligent. And if you talk to them in a certain way, they'll be willing to listen. And that right there will avert them from the matrix and avert them from being directed right into the system. Because I know in my own experience, nobody talked to me. Nobody taught me anything about teachings of Ma'at. Nobody told me about Ma'at. I didn't know anything, so I'm just out there lost, floating, like a fish lost in the sea. And I just gravitated to the brothers that looked like they had it together, which they really didn't now that I look back. And that got me into a lot of trouble. And that's what a lot of these young brothers are going through. So there's brothers like us on the panel. There's brothers out there in the chat that come across these young brothers that can't listen to anybody else. They're not going to listen to their parents, their teachers, the clergy, whatever they're in. But they will listen to brothers that have experience already. And unlike the brothers that tell them, hey, do you want to stay out of this because I went through it? We can actually show them how. And that's the equalizer with these teachings here. And of course, what Atef taught. So thank you, brother. Appreciate you showing up and giving a great presentation. And I will end there.
Many good brother. Peace and love, the path to success. Scribe, hey, Scribe. I just came up with the name, brother, when you text me, brother. I was working on it. When you text me for the name is when I had it. Is when last night when I didn't know the name and I was gonna text you, but I couldn't. And then this morning, the text again, and then the name came. It was 5 minutes. I was looking, and it was it's the path to success, because we don't even know that it's a trap. Like it's hard to see. You have to dig, you have to investigate, because it's everywhere, and they're preying on our children. And it is sad because, like you say, it's nowhere to go. Where do you go? How do you where do you go? How do you stop that? How do you help? How do you save your children? How do you save yourself? How? With the lie or the truth? Sad.
Yeah, it really it's a great thing that we have created something to give people a platform and a bridge to have their way up out of it. And it really makes me proud, and it really inspires me, especially what we're doing, because this is what you showed is very important. And what each of the brothers here showcase during our Study God Sunday podcast is giving people a bridge to the truth, which is why I always love how you ended with Ma'at. So, with that being said, I'll showcase the support that we received in the great brothers and sisters who support the teachings of Ma'at and support the truth. Because if you support the teachings of Ma'at, you support the truth. So I'll present and I'll show from support that we had got in last week, right when we was ending the show. I'll show that first. And that is from Eric G. That's it. He sent $7 for support. So 2 out to you, good brother. All right. Shout out to you, Maharu. He says, I tell our offspring when I can about the teachings of Ma'at. 2 out for that. Love to see you in the chat, good brother. All right. Next, we have Primordial Thought 9. He sends $10 for Tua Atef.
Brother.
And this good brother right here. This good brother right here is implementing the teachings of Ma'at by leading with his left. And this good brother today became an active member of the teachings of Ma'at. So shout out to you, good brother. Congratulations and welcome to the truth. Welcome to this brotherhood that we have created for people to align themselves with. Sisters as well, to align yourselves with when it comes to Ma'at and the truth, and doing what's necessary to provide something for the next generations coming up under us. So shout out to this good brother. Everyone give this brother a hail in the chat for making that step and joining us and being an active member. So 2 out to you, Primordial Thought 9. All right. Next, we have the great brother who is a consistent supporter, excellent supporter of the T.O.M. and Saba Tahuti. We have Stephen E. He sends $21.72. He says, I value and appreciate the T.O.M. Tua. Nini good brother. Tua to you for your consistent support. And I know one day soon that we will be receiving that email from you as well, saying I'm ready to join you, brothers, and stand with you. So Tua for all your support that you give us, Stephen E. You are wonderful. This good brother is also in the Metanetter class consistently with us and learning the Medu, learning that light language. So shout out to you, good brother. All right, next we have the most consistent Nito Campbell. He sends $5 for support, as he does every single week and has been since this brother has came into the chat. So peace and love to you, good brother, for your wonderful support.
So,
all right, next. All right, next we have Caro, who sends $15. Tua for educating us. Powerful presentation. All right, shout out to you, beautiful goddess, for your support, for supporting the T.O.M. the way that you do, and for doing everything that you do behind the scenes to make sure that we are supported and we are being held up. So to you. All right. Let's see. Let me check Gmail here. Okay, let's see. All right. Let me share. We have a second support from the good brother Emmanuel Rodriguez, who sends 444 for Henry Maat. All right, he sends 444 for that one. And as the brother does, he always sends multiple supports and these beautiful numbers. Nook Poo 333 for Maat. All right, and we have one more. We have one more to show. All right, peace and love, Emmanuel Rodriguez, and for your consistent support. We appreciate you. All right, and last but not least, we have the great brother Jason Kirkland, since 572. Henu Atef Rem Qem Maat Nefer teachings. Shout out to you, great brother. This is another active member of the T.O.M. Peace and love to you, good brother, and for the beautiful positive energy that you emanate to the people that you come in contact with. So, shout out to you. All right, we appreciate the support that has came in. For those of you who are watching after, or for those of you who just are coming in, this is the teachings of Maat, where you will find the truth, and you can support us. You can support us with Cash App and PayPal. And as we see, we venerate and we hold up our supporters. We add you to our newsletter that we send out every single week. So to showcase, our Jed, our backbone, and that's you all, as you all in the chat, as you all who appreciate the teachings of Maat and appreciate this information being pulled from this matrix. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Hit the like button, comment, share this to your social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you have a YouTube, post this in your shorts, whatever you can to spread this information, because this is what's necessary for our people to find any type of liberation. So shout out to the great brother Atef Rem Qem. The link is posted in the chat. It's pinned to the top. If anybody wants to join the stream link and give this good brother some hell, or to verbalize how you felt about the presentation here, so that link is posted at the top of the chat. Don't be shy, don't be scared. Hit that link and come up and give a few words. We love to interact with you all and those who support us. So I also want to add on, good brother Atef, with what you showed, that pie graph that you showed with the different percentages of the types of reasons why people are incarcerated, and with the number one by far being violence.
Yes,
that's so important, because and the second being what was it, robbery and dealing with property.
Yeah.
So these two things are possible because we do not have ma'at. We do not have any type of system to guide us and help us recognize this reality that we exist in here, especially the U.S., with there being 330 million people, yet we have over 2 million people incarcerated, so which is higher than China, and China got 1.5 billion people. That's a astronomical number. So we're violent because we're hungry, because of the music, because of the tones, because of the TV shows, the programming. That's what we're all attracted to, violence. And just like the great Saba Tahuti showed in his power class this past Friday, with the sports, some of the biggest sports fans are people who are completely not in shape to play any type of sport. And it's simply because we love the contact, we love the violence, we love the interaction between those who oppose each other. And it's very deep. So this definitely needs to be played. This should be a student needs to do a presentation and showcase what you showed in schools, because if our children or even our people really understood what goes into this, I think that we would think twice about certain decisions that we're making and going through certain paths, and fighting and killing each other for streets that we don't own, we're not a part of, being cycled into this system, like you said, from school to prison. If this was really understood and knew how we were being used and utilized and controlled like puppets, I don't think any of these brothers or sisters would make different decisions and utilize that anger that we have inside of us to align with people who have our best interests in mind, and look at our real enemy and utilize that towards them in a structured way. And once we understand that and realize that, then we'll have an army. So once again, good brother, shout out to you for bringing that forward. And yes, I look forward to your presentations every week, as I do with all these good brothers. You don't find this type of information being presented and connecting it to Ma'at anywhere. So support the T.O.M, support this good brother here, and take this and implement it. Peace and love.
Peace, peace, peace. Hotep. Yeah, it's a cycle, man, and it's and they're preying on us, preying on our kids, and it's everywhere. And that's one of the things that I realized early, that it's really nowhere we could turn to for help. If you don't make Ma'at your foundation, then you're gonna lose, period. because we are in, the whole system is destructive, and it's designed that no matter what way you turn, you're involved in it. The matrix is that engulfing. And you see who they preying on. They are preying on us, and we are celebrating that. We ready to crash out. And it is sad, man, because they got rid of our uncles and big brothers and big cousins, and now they're going after our women. They're going after the sisters. So we got to wake up as a people. We have to. And that's what and shout out to my beautiful goddess for the wonderful, excellent support that she gives week after week, and her contribution to my presentation, her high level of contribution that she does, and her support in presenting this, and so we can all step out of the matrix, because it's a family thing. You have to get out of it, your whole family. It can't just be you. It has to be you, your family, your neighbors. That young man said he went to his neighbor's house and knocked on the door to use the computer. He said he went to the library to try to use the computer. To ultimately, he said he went to Best Buy and used the computer at Best Buy to complete the assignment, which in this society, he breaking the law by being and doing his assignment in Best Buy, technically, right? So it's really sad, man, what's going on here. So the link is in the chat. We invite everybody to come up. If you want to come up, share your words. teachingsamaat.org. Shout out to Saba Tahuti Amahotep Ra. Tahuti's podcast every Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific. Every Monday Medu Netta class. Come join us. Shout out to the Saba, the best teacher. Hanu Tahuti Amahotep Ra. Hanu Ahati Maat. Hanu Menkhu Ara Meri Maat. Hanu Ani Patah. Hanu to everybody in the chat. Who is that? We got the good brother, Primordial Thought.
Hey.
Hotep.
What's up,
Peace,
brothers?
good brother.
Hotep. Hey, good job, Atef. I see you, my guy. You doing the
Tour,
thing,
brother.
man.
Tour, brother.
Yes,
Tour.
sir.
Tour,
Hey, as I was watching the presentation, I'm like, man, he's just adding fuel to Ahati's fire already. I already know he's feeling it already. I said, this is why he got that fire burning in him, man. But he has every right to. He has every right to feel that way, because this is exactly what's going on. And as we've been entertained and distracted by so many things, this stuff is just happening right underneath our nose.
Yeah. And we feeding it. If we're a tax-paying, upstanding member of society, how are we contributing to it without even knowing or realizing? We bank with Bank of America, Chase. A lot of us do. It's a system, man. This matrix is it's very deep, very deep. Shout out to you, Primordial Thought, bro. I appreciate those beautiful words. It's very deep. This matrix is very, very, very deep, and it's sad. And that's why I do the presentations that I do, because it's about Ma'at. It's about culture, right? And it's about, if we could be up here arguing all day. If you look at the other chats, they're arguing. It took me a very long time to put this presentation together. There's a lot of energy, a lot of love that went into creating these my presentations. Very strange, but beautiful, because it's energy. So I'm learning how to use the programs as I'm investigating, as I'm trying to not go down the rabbit hole of go this direction and that direction. It is very, 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 very challenging. So shout out to you, Ahati, and you, Ani, brothers, and you too, Menkhu. But man, you brothers' presentations be very, very, very in-depth, and it's beautiful, man, and it's beautiful to learn and to be standing alongside you brothers, because that's what we got to do. We got to learn. We got to unlearn and relearn, and we got to celebrate each other and not hate on each other and be disrespectful, right? We got to save ourselves and save our children. We have to. It's imperative, man, that we have to work together. And as long as we up on a panel disrespecting, hey, why you got on that white shirt? Why you standing behind that? Why this? Why that? But what's the solution? After all the disrespect and the arguing, what is the solution? If Ma'at is not the solution, then you do not have the solution, period. Ma'at has to be the foundation, and that's the problem. That's the problem, brother.
That's one of the things that why I focus so much on trying to embody Ma'at is because when you do research like that, man, it'll mess up your state of mind so bad, and it'll make you so unbalanced that without Ma'at, you couldn't even keep your composure. You wouldn't even be able to stay. You wouldn't even be able to stay balanced. And that's why, and because when you research things like that, that's why, like I said, I focused on Ma'at because I need it in order to come out of that research, and then when you go express that to your people that's around you, you got to make sure your words is in order before you talk to them, because your emotions and your passion come out so heavy. You trying to tell people like, yo, hey, this ain't no game. Like we definitely in some battle, and we walking around thinking that we free, but we just cage-free chickens walking around here. But you still be in control, and we just looking for that freedom. And that's why Ma'at, and that's why I focus on Ma'at. So when you talk to certain people, that's the only way you can kind of liberate them is through Ma'at. Like that's the only way you can liberate them. So that's kind of how I look at it. That's why I'm so focused on that part.
Peace, good brother. Let the people know your thought process, because this is our newest member here. Can you give the people your thought process and why you decided to take that step further to do your part in Ma'at?
Well, like Atef says, especially he says it every week. And there's no other brotherhood that's like this. Like there's no other area to where you can get the truth like this. And when you encounter something like that, or when you come into that crossroad and you find such a gem like this, regardless of whatever fears you have, regardless of whatever defense mechanism that's in your ka, the truth speaks for itself. So what made me do it was because like I can feel my heart leaning towards this brotherhood. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, well, at least I got to go see what it's about, because I've never been in anything like that. We kind of technically on our own when we go looking for truth. We feel like we by ourselves. So when you dealing with other brothers and sisters that's like-minded, you got to at least go see what it's about. You got to at least go and investigate and be like, look, let me see what this can do for me, and see what it feels like to be around other people that's searching for Ma'at just like you. And to me, that's the reason why I joined. Like that was the whole reason why I was like, man, let me go see. I don't want to have any outside perspectives, outside looking in, and you're judging and you're like, well, I don't like that, but I like that, and you ain't gonna never know unless you join. So at least go experience first, because that's what life is all about, is experiencing. So I'd rather go see for myself, and then I'll be able to have my answer. But so far, man, like I said, hey man, I'm loving this. And that's why I told y'all, like, I don't got no problem with jumping on. I don't have no problem with that. As long as we all stay in Ma'at, that's all I care about, because that's the only way we find liberation. So it's my speech.
No, it was good. It was good. You're exactly right, brother. Ma'at's balanced, and as long as we stay balanced together, we're formidable to the Tomahawks. and we can't be destroyed that way. And I learn as I go along, even though I have a little bit more time. But every day is a battle because the ISFET never goes away. That's part of the balance part. So even to this day, I have to sometimes tell myself, you're safe, you're okay, things are going all right. Because I know how powerful the matrix is in ISFET. Because the Tamahu has technology that they can shoot through the walls in our homes. So they're putting out different frequencies, testing it on us to see how we're going to react. I have newspaper and videos on stuff like this. And we're running around, like you said, like a chicken with chicken with his head cut off, thinking we're powerful. And the power comes from a collective unity, a collective energy that we all encompass once we start living the Meru Netter language. That's why it's such a beautiful language, because it could take people that usually wouldn't ever come together and bring them together for necessary plan of action, which we've established here at teachingsofmaat.org. We take it very seriously, as you could tell by the frown, by the wrinkles in my brow. But somebody has to. You understand? You understand? Like, somebody has to take this serious, else nothing ever gets done. And it's about time, as men, collectively, we start taking this serious and combating our enemy with our own mind and our own intelligence and our own educational values. And if you ask any of the brothers on the panel, we're very serious. And we have a structure already created. You could ask Brother Ani. You know, I'm not gonna say too much about it, but you would be like, wow. And that stuff you can't fake. It doesn't just come off the top of my head, and because I want to look good in front of Ani or Atef or Menkhu. It's coming from something pure. It's coming from my heart, because I truly believe one day we will have an actual nation of our own, not just something on paper that we can leave for our children to read in a history book. We'll have an actual nation with a defensive force to protect it. And man, listen, you know, it's a high risk game we're in, and it's not for everybody. And that's why a lot of people do a lot of talking, arguing, and fighting, because the Tamahu doesn't care about that. They're distracted. But brothers are cool, calm, and collected, week in, week out, year after year after year. Then the Tamahu is like, hey, Bob, there's this guy that taught a class on this this teaching of Maat named Atef, and you know, he's getting better each week, and the brothers are still supporting him. They're not arguing and infighting. Let's pay attention to this. Can you set up a team? That's how they operate, man. Because the reality is that our enemy is deathly afraid of us. They're genetically afraid of us, and what we're producing and putting out into the environment around us is a certain frequency, is the frequency of Tahuti, is the frequency of 72 in the Peshat, which is the number 9. And even people that don't know you will start to look at you and they'll feel that same frequency. And if it's for them, they will gravitate towards it. And that's the Tamahu's worst fear, that a lot of people gravitate towards us. I'm of the belief that many eventually will. I don't believe this is something that can be contained in just a little small environment and go with it, because nobody else is doing what we've ever done. We're creating history right now as we go along. Usually there's always a sprinkle of Islam or Christianity or hodgepodge of all different types of ideologies mixed together. Whereas with us, like you said, brother, Primordial Thought, as long as they're standing on Ma'at. And through our own example up here on the panel, and through our own life experience, that's what keeps at least me coming back week after week. There's nothing else. I know that might sound cold. I'm just being real, man. And I always keep it real with the brothers on the panel, even if they're like this MF, you know, behind my back or whatever. I'm not saying you guys do that. I'm just putting it out there. But I'm gonna just keep it real. If it wasn't for Maat, I'd be in the streets somewhere trying to hustle some money up, doing what I gotta do. You know what I mean? But my love and passion for her, I'm looking at her on my wall right now. My love and passion for her bring me to tears today. And it's a real passion. And I love them so much that you can't destroy that. You can't destroy that feeling, even if you're just a person of one standing on Ma'at. And that's really where I want to end with you, is that even if it was just you, Primordial Thought, carrying the organization on your back, it would still stand. And that's why the coups, the pyramids, the temples are still standing. And that's why I believe that in the future, maybe, well, a great possibility is it's not going to be in our lifetime or the next generation or the third generation, possibly. But that standing army, the brothers will be saluting and hennuing and doing affirmations like Atef to Maat. I consciously see that. And that is also what keeps me going, is the children. That there's a child watching right now, is very lost, doesn't know what to do, is looking at his mother with tears in his eyes and thinking, man, if I was grown like Primordial Thought, maybe I could change and do something. And he'll take that with him, with what the Christians call righteous anger, because anger is good too. You need anger. Everything that exists is not good or bad, it just is. So you need anger too, because anger is a great motivator. And he'll be the one to say, hey, enough's enough. We got the information. We have the tech. We know what we're doing. So anyways, brothers, if you want to say something.
Yeah, I want to point out something you said, Primordial Thought, about the brotherhood. And that was also very important to me. And that's something that I wanted to create, because being out there, like you said, on your own journey, especially once you start to unplug from this matrix, you start to separate from those who you may have once been close with, because you're no longer in tune with the same frequency as they are. And it becomes a lonely journey in person, simply because you're moving in a path in a realm that is being suppressed on every single level, which is Ma'at, which is the truth, which creates the word matrix, which is mother, which is now implemented on top of this false matrix. And that's what they had to plug themselves into directly. And so this is the main purpose and reason why for me the T.O.M was created, was to create that system and movement of brothers and sisters to come together under one thought process, not like the great brother Ahati said, not a little bit of Christian here, some Islam there, some 5% there, none of that, under one thought process, and which is the origin and which is the factual truth that can be validated by history, archaeology, anthropology, by our ancestors. And on top of that, with it being the most strongest, what we call today, spiritual system on the planet. So that is something that we have to back ourselves on, to protect ourselves on that level as well, because that's important, because they are utilizing our magic against us while we're walking around thinking that we don't have no magic, and forgetting, because deep within our subconscious, we associate magic with evil and negativity, and it's deep within the language, and that's what was the point of the Bible, and to separate us from our own power and recognizing that we have the power to do this. So we appreciate you, great brother, for recognizing the truth. As the great brother Atef shows, the word ma'ah means to see, means to examine, and use that word too. You said I need to go and investigate, which that word is ma'at. So you are most definitely in alignment with this beautiful frequency of Ma'at, and she is going to lead us and guide us to exactly where we need to go to leave something behind for those of us coming up under us who want the same exact thing as me and you. So Tua, my good brother, for playing your part, and for actually recognizing and being able to see, because that's the biggest part, is because our perception is so blinded by everything around us. It's hard to see the truth and recognize it, so Tua to you, great brother, for that.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. One thing that I love that y'all focus on, especially Ahati and Sabo, they always say, like, anybody who not just the people that's watching in the chat or who's just live. They always say anybody that watches this in the future, anybody that's going to see this later on. One thing that I love about that is because a lot of people that I talk to, I always tell them, I said, look, regardless of whatever changes that you see in this world, like as generations go on, we tend to sound like our parents, like, oh, this world is getting worse, this world's getting worse, or they're implementing this, they're implementing that. And I say, look, even though you see these things, like they're not necessarily coming after you. They're prepping for your great grandkids. They're prepping for your children. Like they're already creating a matrix that is perceived as normal as soon as they come out the womb. They're already ready. They're ready for the generation. So can you imagine when, especially when I was young, I was born in '86. So I mean, we didn't have no tablets, we didn't have no cell phone, we didn't have any of those things. So to see those things being created is a wow to us. But for children who are being born to this day, they're stepping into a matrix, and they perceive that as normal. What's being taught, they perceive that as normal. And to us, we've been already here for quite some time, and we can see the change. But like I said, they're already prepping minds for children already. They're pretty much at all of our goddesses' matrix ready, just ready. As soon as they come out the womb, they've already prepped, and they've already set up a foundation for them to already get caught up in it. And that's why I love that y'all make statements like, hey, for people who are going to watch this in the future, be aware of A, B, and C. And I love when y'all say stuff like that, man. That brings so much joy to me, because every time I tell somebody, when we have conversation and you give someone advice, I said, hey, you know that feeling that you're feeling right now, that inspiration feeling, that feeling that you want to do good, you want to be better, like that's cool right now, but how are you going to feel tomorrow? As soon as you wake up, did you bottle that feeling? Like, did you keep that? Like, I want you to keep that. Like, keep that tomorrow, because that's the rebirth. That's how you change. And so I love when y'all speak on in a futuristic state of mind, because you're trying to reach people even when they catch your videos from the first teachings of Maat videos, even when they catch that very first video 3 years from now, that's going to be an impact in itself. So hey, Tua to y'all, man. I appreciate y'all, brothers.
Hey, that reminds me of remember in Terminator when Sarah Connor, she's speaking to herself. She's saying how it's going to be for John in the future, and how the robots are going to be coming around. That's exactly what's happening. They have, Menkhu just posted, I seen that yesterday. Menkhu just posted about the robots. They just approved it in Los Angeles. All that's coming, man. All that's coming.
The police robot dogs. But check this out though. I'm gonna do a little bit of research, but what I'm kind of noticing already is what seems to be trending is the number of sisters that's becoming police officers. So think about this. The number of sisters getting incarcerated is increasing. Black women are going to jail more. Black children and black men had already, been in that trap. But now, think about this. Like, more brothers and sisters are becoming police. Are you serious? Like, so it'll be us literally putting our people into the system, into the prisons. And so that's really, it's a huge concern. I'll just say that. And
I know out here where I live, I don't really see white officers anymore. I just see Mexican officers all over. Listen, this is why I say to Tom who I give them credit, because that's a genius tactic. You make the people look like the people that live in the neighborhoods, and it's hard to fight because we've all seen it and maybe been through it. Where, hey, bro, I'm just like you. I'm Mexican. I've seen it. I've heard them talk to. I'm Mexican, bro. What are you doing with it? And they're just like this, like stone cold. Like, I have to impress my leader type. Man, it's sad because now the Tamu could say, "Well, I didn't do that. I'm not racist. I didn't arrest him." But the chief is a Tamahu.
Right. Well, and then too, well, we showed Atef shared the situation with the two judges. Now, what's happening too? The DAs and the judges is more black DAs and more black judges, and so they're making them think that you are making this achievement, and then even to being in government, right? Like more is like they are so-called people. That's why Ma'at is a consciousness. Blackness is a consciousness. It's not just the color of your skin, because if you are holding up the system, if you're a part of the chess piece that's going against your people, you are a puppet. Like Ani said, you going against your own people. That is some powerful mind control right there. That is some white supremacy right there, when they can put you in position to hurt your people, but you don't see it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a wonderful point, Brother Menkhu. Great brother Primordial, thought to for you for recognizing that, because that's something very intentional that we do. Behind the scenes, we're 10 years in the future. So we always have that concept and that mindset for those coming up after, because it's not just about where we're at today, right now, who's here now. This is just small compared to the vision, but we take our thing one step at a time. So that's very intentional. And to for you for once again having the ma'ah, the visual, the eye to see that. All right, so I'll show the next. We got some support in through that. Shout out to this good brother too, Stranger. He says, just having these meaningful conversations and long form discourse breaks the veil of the matrix, not to mention the wonderful presentations. Peace and love to you, Stranger. This brother supports the T.O.M. He also made a purchase of a T.O.M. shirt as well. So we'll be sending that out to you tomorrow. So that'll be headed your way, good brother. So shout out to you for that. And for those of you who are asking what that is, this is the teachingsofma'at.org shop section, where we have our t-shirts, where you can purchase these shirts, and you can also have the back customized. So you can add your name to it. You can add whatever you like to the back of this merch here to represent who you are. So great brother Stranger, your shirt will be headed out to you tomorrow. So shout out to you, good brother, for your support. All right, now also show this. Terry Patty sends $15. He says, Tua, brother Atef, Henu to the brothers on the panel.
Up, brother.
Yes, we appreciate all of the support that we get in. We have the greatest support system on the internet. Ma'at is building such a powerful foundation, and as we continue to grow, we just a few weeks ago hit 500 subscribers, halfway to that 1,000. And we're on a very positive trajectory, moving very quickly. And it's all because of you. It's all because of the great supporters. And for those who watch this and support, that energy carries, right? And it's a reciprocity system that Ma'at facilitates for us to continue to stand strong and stand firm on the truth. And that's what motivates me, and I'm sure that's what motivates the brothers on this panel, is the truth. The great brother Atef says it all the time. I don't know how I got here. I was just looking for the truth. And anybody who's just looking for the truth in reality will end up here. So before we close out, I'll give some closing words. I want to say Hinu to you, great brother Atef Rem Qem Maat. Tua to you for this wonderful presentation, and all the presentations that you bring forth for us, and the style that you do it in. And each of us bring a certain dynamic to this, and the part that you play is so crucial in showing forth what people may not know as far as this matrix that we live in, that we exist in here on this part of the planet. So you're so very important, and what you're bringing forth. So I want to say hail to you, great brother Atef, for that, and for your dedication, for your consistency, for everything that you do behind the scenes as well, that you know you do. So peace and love to you, good brother. To all the great people in the chat, adoration to all those who support, adoration to all those who participate in these wonderful teachings, and bringing forth and giving forth your energy and your mind and your consciousness, and feeding us with that energy. And it's so wonderful to see great people recognize the truth and appreciate what this is, and the energy that it takes to bring forth this type of information to you. It's so very important. So peace and love to all the great people in the chat, all the great people who will be watching this in the future. Tua to you for your attention that you gave to us, because without your attention, this never even existed. So that's one of the most important aspects of what we're doing here, is to give your attention to what it is that you want to create. So by doing that, you allow this to exist, and you allow this to carry on. So Hinu, hail you, and keep doing what you're doing. Peace and love, Hotep Ma'at, and everyone have a fantastic week.
Peace and love, Menkhu. You want to close us out with some closing words?
Only thing I want to say is I'm ready for change. I'm ready for change. That's why I'm here. And so it's an honor to, be at Ma'at and to lock arm with you brothers as we do all that we can to give our people a fighting chance in this spiritual and cultural war that we're in. So peace to you, Atef, for your hard work and dedication, and all the brothers on the panel. Thank you to the chat for your love and your support. We have to be unified, power in numbers, and we just have to figure it out, one day at a time, putting our left foot forward, and continue to try and liberate ourselves from this situation that we're in. So peace to you, Atef, for your time and dedication.
Any good brother. Primordial thought, good brother. You got some closing words?
Hey, to all you brothers, everybody else out there that's watching as well. I guess the last thing I'll say is, hey, those of you that's been looking for truth, and you found it. Now what? Now what do you do with it? You've been meditating, you've been praying, you've been asking all these things, like you've been looking for truth, and now that you found it, now what's your next move? And I hope that you take action. So I'll just leave it at that, brothers. Tua.
Peace. Great General Ahati, my brother.
Hey, the newest member said he's
Peace.
he just modded what I was gonna exactly. If you're not taking action after being with us for at least 6 months, there's no more talking. Atef, take it away, brother.
That's the synchronicity. Hotep Ma'at. Peace and love to everybody in the chat. Thank you for a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful class. Shout out to the best teacher, the Saba. Hail to our great leader, to our teacher of teachers. Breaking more people out the matrix, the old people at ASICs. Henu, Saba Tahuti, I'm a Hotep Rider, teacher's teacher. Shout out to teachersofmaat.org. Shout out to Ahati Maat, Henu, Menkhu Ara, Henu, Ani Patah. Henu to you, my good brother, Primordial Thought. Henu to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Jason Kirkland, Stranger, Robert Reyes. Peace and love to Carolina. Peace and love to everybody in the chat. Y'all know how we do it. We appreciate all the support, as my brothers have stated. Come join us every Monday for our Tahuti's Monday Metal Netter class, every Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific. Friday pod class, every Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific. Tahuti's pod class, send in your questions. Mystical Television, email at mysticaltelevision.com. Is it .com, Scribe?
Yeah, mysticaltelevision@gmail.com.
mysticaltelevision@gmail.com.
You can find all this at our website, .org, under the contact section as well.
That's right. Come join us, teachersofmaat.org. Y'all know what it is. Y'all see what we doing here. Brick by brick, we are building this. We are standing on Ma'at, my good brother. Welcome, Primordial Thought. With that, we will end with our beautiful affirmation, as we always do. And from today's teachings, from the Wallace E. Budge Dictionary, page 266, as my good brother Scribe always points out that synchronicity, I always have it pulled up. Ma'ah means to examine, to expect, to perceive, to look at, seen, visible. Ma'ah, page 266, Wallace E. Budge Dictionary, teachersofmaat.org. With that, we will end with our beautiful affirmation on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Anki and Ma'at, An and S, Nintet or Set and Ma'at, Minhepa Pet and Ma'at, Her and Hugh Cui, Per Iku. I live for Ma'at. I exist within her. I do not speak in the place of Ma'at. Every day I advance towards Ma'at. My being is surrounded in darkness. I come forth as conscious light. Hotep Ma'at, peace and love.
Closed my eyes, then I woke up back in my bed. I could see my room as clear as looking through a lens. See, I thought I was awake, so then I tried to move, but my body shocked me like I was plugged in a socket. I started panicking and scrambling within my mental. I thought I died and now my body, I'm forever locked in. I was screaming, help me, someone help me please. But there wasn't any sound making it through my teeth. I could see movement in motion, shadows gather around me. How could I close my eyes already closed? Eating alkaline at this time, fasting reads so shocking. I was stuck in a paralysis, fear had me froze. It's time to shed. It's time to shed. I heard a voice in the back of my head. Rebirth, it's time to shed. It's time to shed. It's time to shed. I heard a voice in the back of my head. Rebirth, it's time to shed. I finally started waking up and coming back. I was in the opposite of state's effect. That's relaxed, I grabbed my phone and started to do research. Knowledge of what happened, I was in a lack. Insidious, the movie came direct to mind. Every time I seen this, it was connected to what's not divine. Demons crawling forcefully, holding the body down. Ain't no point in trying to scream, you will not make a sound. Deep within, I knew I made that a reality. The all is mine, I saw it, and so shall it be. I start replacing fear with knowing universe is mental. Talking to my subconscious to wake me up in dreams. Then one day my spirit guides came in so essential. Daylight astral playing loud in my dream helped to set me free. I'm back in paralysis laying on my couch. But this time I was calm, ready to exit out. It's time to shed. It's time to shed. I heard a voice in the back of my head. Rebirth, it's time to shed. It's time to shed. It's time to shed. I heard a voice in the back of my head. Rebirth, it's time to shed. From what I read, I need to move my arms in front of me. See a rope and pull it, separate and then release. Now I'm out, I see my house is gleaming, I accept it. Looking in the mirror, staring at my car's reflection. I was so ecstatic, flying in every direction. This was months of subconscious reprogramming and redirection. Place my thoughts in my body, wake up, that's what I did. I was reborn from that day so I could start to live. It's time to shed. It's time to shed. I heard a voice in the back of my head. Rebirth, it's time to shed.
But I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.